everyone, and welcome to the Kittens Gaming Podcast. I am your host, Turbo Tony, and this is the gaming podcast filled with all of the members of the Kittens of War gaming community. If you're new to this podcast, which you most likely are, this is only the second episode. We cover one game every week each on the episode that we're doing, and for about an average of about 30 minutes, we talk about our experiences, news that surrounds the game. We also give you some general gaming news of the week. As I said there, my name is Turbo Tony, and we are here with some of the Kittens you may have already known. They were here last week. We've got Tom, we've got Chris, and we've got Hayley from last week. And we have a debuting kitten for the podcast. We have Morgan, who will introduce himself there. Say hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
It's so hard not to say something to disrupt that. It's like I want to say.
I know.
That would be so evil, though. I always mess up my intros, and that's like the first one in probably about 3 months I've actually managed to do flawlessly, so it's pretty good,
I was just sitting there going, nope.
Don't do it.
That's it.
You have to fight your fun, don't you?
Yeah, you guys are always so supportive, you know, that's what I like about you guys, so that's great.
What we do.
Right, so I'm just going to let you guys know what games we're going to be covering as well, just so you know as well that all the games will be annotated at the bottom of the video, and you can click the game, so if you want to skip straight to that conversation, you can. So we're going to be, this is in order. Morgan is going to be going first. He's going to be covering Crusader Kings 2. Chris is going to be covering Shadow of the Colossus. Tom is going to be covering Telltale Games The Walking Dead Season 1. Not that absolute pile of poo that they released, this Survival Instinct game. Let's not talk about that. And Hayley is going to be covering, I hope I pronounced it right, Suikoden 2. I think that's how you say it correctly.
I pronounce it Suikoden, but...
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I did a little bit of research on it, but man, this I can never get a hang of the accent, so and I don't want to be too offensive, you know.
So to our Japanese demographic, when you get here eventually, we're sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry.
So sorry.
I offend the Irish demographic every day I live in the country, so it's not too much of an issue, I guess. It's fine.
Now...
One of the things you can also do... Yeah, on the video, we actually have the profile pictures of all the kittens, and you can actually click on the ones that actually have YouTube channels, and it will directly to their YouTube channel where you can check out some of their content that they upload every now and then. I think for this episode it's just myself and Chris that does the YouTubing, but we do have a few others that do YouTubing as well. So you can click on the pictures there, and you can cover their channels. So, as we said, we do have a debuting kitten with us this week. Morgan is brand new to the show. He's actually one of the people that I spoke to that actually kind of got me wanting to host this podcast. So you can thank him for pushing me to actually get it all started. But for now, introduce yourself, Morgan. Tell us who you are.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry.
My name's Morgan. Generally go by the gaming handle Red Wing Eagle or Red Wing 11 or Red Wing 99 or however many people have used that before. Generally, well, I've been in the Kittens of War for a while now. I joined before Guild Wars 2. I'm a Guild Wars 2 player. I joined before, but wasn't very active.
We were mainly like a first-person shooter guild before any of that sort of started. It sort of exploded after Guild Wars.
I played Guild Wars 1, well, Guild Wars Original.
Yeah.
And I played that for however many years. So I like to say I was in the Kittens of War. The Kittens of War existed back then, but it didn't in name. So I was remembered then. Generally, I play role-play games. Guild Wars 2 mainly is what I'm playing at the moment. Which is my MO game I'm playing. I also play Dragon Age. Intensely excited for Dragon Age Inquisition. Literally every day I watch the latest video they put out about 10 times. So
it's like Dragon Age porn in terms of like gameplay.
I just can't help it. I just watch it over and over and over again. I literally just sat there watching it, kind of like squeeing, like. But,
Oh yes, Canary. Oh yeah.
Oh, Canary, mate.
I'm not even going to play a Canary. Well, I'm not going to play Canary first. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm going to play Canary." I'm like, "Why?" No.
Balls.
They're not that amazeballs.
Probably because the first.
I know what I'm playing, and
character really.
I know what I'm playing because I know who I want to romance, and so that's all sorted. But,
No, you're going to be my boyfriend, and you're going to be my boyfriend.
Yeah. No, so role play games mainly. I do I kind of play general games that Tony tells me to get on Steam. So recently started playing Hearthstone, and I've gotten back into Hearthstone. Final Fantasy games I love. Haven't played them in ages, but I've just recently downloaded Final Fantasy 8 on Steam, which is not a bad price, $9.99. It's expensive, but expensive for a game that's old, but
you get so much value out of a game, any Final Fantasy game. So
the games that I like to play have longevity games. I like a game that I can spend hours playing.
Yeah,
because I like value for money, basically.
Which, like with Crusader Kings 2 and Guild Wars, is pretty much like the epitome of that.
Well, I've currently racked up like over 300. Let's check Steam. Let's see how many. It's over 250 hours on Crusader Kings 2 I've played. But no, see, it's Crusader Kings 2 was a game I played for a long time. I played it literally solely Crusader Kings 2 for a while. It's a great game.
Yeah, you're covering it this. You're covering it this week, so.
But yeah, that's me. So
awesome.
If you like roleplay games, listen to what I say.
Yeah. The overlord.
But yeah, as Tony was saying, because me and Tony originally were going to do a Guild Wars 2 gaming podcast. That's what we originally kind of first thought of.
Yeah.
But then we kind of expanded, and it seemed a lot more, because not everyone in the Kitten Clan plays Guild Wars, so it makes sense to do the most
important thing is that they don't play World of Warcraft. That's the most important thing.
Tony, you've played World of You've played World of Warcraft. I know you have.
I have, but I didn't particularly like it, and so I didn't play it anymore.
But you played it. You played it for a good couple of months.
Yeah. I gave it a try.
So don't go. I hate World of Warcraft.
Why are you defending it so fiercely? Yeah, I understand why people like it. I didn't like it myself. So
my biggest gripe with World of Warcraft is that I have to pay. I don't like having to pay monthly subscription fees. I'm like, I've already paid for the game. Why do you want more money?
Let me play it, yeah. That's why we like Guild Wars, isn't it? You buy it straight out.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you'd like to cover there, Morgan, or will we move on to the news of the week?
You know me, I could just rant forever, so
yes,
move on.
Yeah. And you'll have plenty to talk about Crusader Kings too, so don't worry, we'll get plenty more from yourself. So, a little bit of news this week. I just caught a little bit of news just before we came on here. Some that caught my eye. And I'm going to plan to do this each week. We're just going to cover a little bit of news and then move on to the actual the games coverage. The news this week, which leaves me very, very scared, I think, or worried. When I say scared, no, it's not like that. I'm just a little bit worried.
Terrified.
Yeah, the lead of Homefront New Revolution from Crytek has actually left the company. If you know that Homefront. Human Revolution is planned to actually come out early next year for next gen consoles and obviously PC, and they've still got a little bit of work to do on it, obviously, but it's in the latter stages of it. It's a little bit worrying that the actual creative lead on the project has gone, and Crytek are keeping pretty stum about the whole situation. If anyone doesn't know, I actually am a huge Homefront fan. I loved that game, and I played it to death. In fact, I got like one of the hardest achievements you can get in that game, which is there's this sniper rifle that you don't even get a one-shot kill on, but it takes like half an hour to reload, and you have to get a 10 kill streak on it. You may think, oh, that's really easy. It actually isn't. It's almost impossible when I managed to get it. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried of that, and hopefully there'll be more news coming out that will reassure me, because the game itself looks amazing. I did a video on my channel which was 10 things to do in Homefront 2, and they actually, like, it feels a bit weird because I uploaded that ages ago, and they've actually taken some of the things. It's awesome. I
think they watched it.
Yeah.
I think they watched it.
Yeah, I'm just going to tell myself that just so I sleep a little bit,
Just tell everyone,
That's it.
No, I think, like, I've never played Homefront, and I probably won't ever play Homefront. But I think when it comes to kind of sequels and kind of creative leads leaving, like we've seen it on other games, like leads leave, companies kind of they change hands, but I think when it comes to games like that, where do you put the trust? Do you put the trust in the company or the creative lead?
It's a little bit awkward because if a creative lead leaves on like a game like Call of Duty, it's fine because like really like the whole thing is set in stone. But because this game is such a difference from the original outing, it makes things very awkward for me. It may not mean a thing. I mean, the game may be 95% finished, so I mean the rest of the group knows what they need to do, which may be the case. But still.
Why did he leave? Do you know why he's left?
Not
Maybe
enough details.
For another company or something. He's moved on to a different project, knowing this one can be wrapped up.
There's no news that's been released about it so far, but one of the things that a lot of people have cited about it is financial issues, and if that's the case, that is very worrying, because then you want this to. I mean, if you think about it, Homefront is a game and like a franchise that has been plagued by financial issues. That like as soon as they launched the first one, that THQ went bust, and the Homefront franchise was bought by Crytek. Now we hear news of Crytek having financial issues in terms of this project, and it's a little bit like, come on, just give it a good shot, just do it, come on.
But then I think with that, I think that it's just kind of indicative of the gaming industry's overemphasis on war games.
Yeah. Well,
and like that's my own personal. I played Call of Duty and I enjoyed Call of Duty, and I think but I think there's so many games that are so just geared at, yes, we're playing war, and I think how can you have so many games doing the same topic?
Yeah,
and I think that's where it is.
It's
you can't. How do you become kind of what's the new, like, inventive and stuff like that?
Yeah. You were saying there, Tom?
Because it's an alternative history, isn't it? Korea's come in out of nowhere and just completely bitch-slapped America. How often do we see America being bitch-slapped and invaded? Not including Call of Duty Ghost, where Brazil fucking took the space center or whatever.
In COD 4 when Russia invaded.
Well, what I mean though is that what they're going for is they're going to try and go for guerrilla warfare.
Having a successful invasion and occupation thereof.
Yeah, it's the occupation and the whole list of it. Like John Milius obviously covered. Like I'm going to cover Homefront one of these weeks because I do love the game. But John Milius, who wrote Red Dawn, obviously had a lot. Was actually brought into this, so you can imagine where the original roots of the whole game and the story came from. But it's a little bit like this game is a little bit different in the fact that it's like it's not exactly the same to like COD because it's a guerrilla style game. What I've seen of the gameplay trailers anyway, that it's going to be along the lines of you have to salvage bits and make items, and you have to sift in and out of enemies and go on underground stuff. So, and you've got a large open map. It's not just okay, we put you on this level and then 5 seconds later after a big fantastic explosion, it's all over. You move on to a new thing. I like the idea of having a big open map and being able to slowly retake it back, but I guess anyone that wants to know my thoughts on that can go and watch the video that I made, because that was quite indicative of that. Another thing go on there. Sorry.
No, it's just one thing I do. It's just a little comedy bit that I actually find hilarious. You know, it goes on saying Kim Jong-un takes over and leads this massive war effort. You look at him in that intro, and he just looks imposing and dynamic. You see him now, and you're just like, yeah, there's nothing he can do.
I would like to congratulate North Korea on winning the World Cup. That they've done a fantastic job.
And the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course.
What? Sorry.
According to North Korean TV and media, they have won the World Cup. They beat USA, Japan, and China, and they beat Portugal in the final to win the World Cup.
Of course they did.
They didn't even qualify for the actual event itself.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, how can they think that they can actually play that?
Because people in North Korea don't have the internet. They don't have outside TV, and all they do is watch propaganda. You play Tropico. You know what it's like when you overrule the population.
Tropico has rule.
I was about to say, this sounds like a lot like your Tropico rule, Haley. You know.
Hello and welcome to El Presidente TV, where it's El Presidente 24 hours a day. And now, coming up for the next hour, is El Presidente riding a horse.
Yeah.
Isn't he majestic?
In slow motion, him riding the horse, and backstory of him and the horse. Yeah, so I just thought that was hilarious. A little bit of non-gaming talk, but I just found that so funny that they're spreading that anyway. Moving forward in the news, because I know this game is one that I'm actually looking forward to. I know that Chris must be looking forward to. Alien Isolation, the survival horror alien game.
I have that on my wish list on Steam. I will buy it as soon as I get the money because it looks so.
It looks tasty. Very good. Go on.
It looks good, but I've been bit very harshly from Colonial Marines.
Yeah.
That's my only thing. I'm looking at it, but I'm sitting at a weary glance, just like, don't do this to me.
Colonial Marines being the big smelly poo that Colonial Marines was.
Well, it is made by a different studio, and it is a completely different type of game. Like, it's a whole different genre, so hopefully they'll get it right this time.
Hopefully.
Is it being made by Square Enix?
No.
Oh.
Then you should be disappointed.
Hey, Square
Enix there.
I'm still looking forward to Kingdom Hearts 3, so
well, fingers crossed they don't make that into a
Kingdom Hearts 3. What, another Final Fantasy?
What if Spring Lightning into Kingdom Hearts 3?
But I think they are actually, but they should be bringing in Wolverine as well in theory.
Yeah.
But what was the question? Sorry, Chris.
What, they're doing another Final Fantasy rip-off of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, Kingdom Hearts isn't a Final Fantasy rip-off.
It is. It is a Final
Not really.
Fantasy
No.
Yes, I thought you
Exactly
hadn't
what it
played
is.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Final Fantasy
The
with
second
Disney.
I saw,
I came up with it.
Right,
They ripped me
right,
off. I
right.
came up with it when I was 10.
the second I
Here first.
or Kingdom Hearts, because I used to date someone who played a lot of Kingdom Hearts, and she loved the game to death. As soon as I saw her playing it, I was like, "That's Kingdom Heart character right there. That's a Final Fantasy character right there. They've just taken the guy from Final Fantasy, packaged it up in Disney, and tried to flog it to people who are gullible."
No, it's not like that at all. If you
That's
actually play the
exactly
game, it actually it's done very, very well because it's like a mix between Disney and Final Fantasy. There is a lot of Final Fantasy in it,
I'll
but
give it the art style is very nice. I like the art style. It's just the game itself never really appealed to me. It just looked like a Disney rip-off to me from the second I saw it. The art style was nice. I'll give it that.
I love me some Kingdom Hearts. I really do. But there's been a huge gap.
Brilliant.
Yeah, like Kingdom Hearts 2 was released for the PS2, so that's kind of telling you how long ago that was released. So fingers crossed we even get the damn thing before we all die. Hopefully, that's probably a good thing to say. But anyway, back to the actual
Kingdom Hearts 3, aren't you?
Yep.
Don't worry about that.
back to the actual original story, news story that was breaking here. They have added, they released news that they're going to be adding DLC to Alien Isolation. That's going to include the original movie cast. And I've seen a little bit of it, and it actually looks really, really impressive. It looks like they've really nailed the generic feel, and I've got the characters of.
So the way they're going to do it is they're going to like they'll do you as one of the crew. You get to play as one of the crew members just after the chest burst has come out. And just after one of the guys has died, what's his name? Brett or something.
Yeah.
Like the guy that gets pulled up into those really just weird looking pillar things and it starts raining blood.
Yeah. It makes me want to go back and watch the original movie again, which is I don't need an excuse to do it, but it's awesome anyway. I'm not a huge fan of horror movies, but Alien is just something different. Like that, you have to watch it. It's awesome. I love Alien.
Oh yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah. Who knows? They might release a movie of Colonial Marines just to piss everyone off a little more.
Oh, I'd love for them to release it as a piss take. Baseballs-esque type thing, just a complete piss take of the thing.
We'll just parody the entire thing because it's almost laughable in itself. Yeah, I get what you mean. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to Alien Isolation, and if they do that DLC right, then that's going to be something I'll be very interested in. The only thing I don't like them is them promoting DLC before a game's even launched. I think that's a little bit of a taboo. Like Mass Effect releasing DLC on day one, which really irks me, but it's standard business practice now, isn't it, really, that you release DLC when the game launches, which I think is remarkable.
It's kind of counting your chickens before they've hatched.
It's not only that, it's just holding game content at ransom, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cutting up your game content.
It's basically counting your chickens before the eggs are being fertilised.
Yeah. Oh, quite the analogy.
Yeah, Call of Duty have that problem as well, don't they? And I hate to say this because I like this franchise, but Halo's getting into that as well, actually.
Yeah. Cutting up their game and just spoon feeding it. I think that's probably Angry Joe said that and I thought it was probably the best way you can put it. That cutting your game up into pieces and then spoon feeding it to you is I just don't like it. But a lot of that's really prevalent in fighting games, and I'm a big fan of fighting games. That you buy a game, you've got a roster of 20 people, and suddenly 20 other people spring up. That's locked on the disc, and that's happened a few times. You know that you can buy it. It's on the disc. It's actually on the disc that you bought, but you have to actually buy it online. It's just annoying. But
the sound theory in principle, wasn't it? DLC, just releasing stuff later on, just to keep you interested in the game, just for a little extra gameplay as well. Yeah. But now they're just it's just holding your game to ransom.
Yeah. It's ideally
cutting it up and.
DLC was probably the best way of like having console gamers be able to actually download expansions and stuff onto their game, like PC users. Yeah. But now, like, it's just been really, really grossly misused. I think that's probably the best way to put it.
So I watched someone do a thing about this on YouTube, and they were like, "Remember the day when you could play a fighting game and unlock different characters by playing the game? Buying them like a moron. Any idiot can go out and buy an expansion pack if they've got money and unlock all the characters. But remember when the game challenged you to unlock the characters, like the challenge tower in Mortal Kombat and everything like that?"
Yeah. Oh, you had to do like
That
special
matters.
challenges and stuff, and like you unlock in that way, or do all the. I remember in one of the games you do all the story mission, all the stories with all the fighting characters in a game. I think it was like Soul Calibur, and if you
Dead
do it
or Alive
all,
2,
then you unlock
yeah.
like the final end boss, and you can actually play as him. It used to be really
You do
cool.
that in Dead or Alive 2. I spent so long doing that on the PS2. Like, must get final character.
Yeah. Just to play as this badass evil character, and you realise that, oh wait, he isn't that badass. It's just that obviously he's on a really hard difficulty when you fight him.
Oh, the guy in Dead or Alive 2 was, you got him and he was just ridiculously OP.
Okay. Oh dear. So before we, I like the way we turned this from Alien Isolation into a story about DLC and fighting games. I think this is the way that this podcast is just going to run.
Yeah.
Let's get into our game coverage this week before we ramble incoherently. Which I imagine that people will come to expect of us. I think if there's a calling card, that'll be ours.
It's how we do.
It's how we do. It's how the kittens get things done. So we've got 4 games here to cover this week, like we did last week. We've got some interesting ones here. And the first of which is Morgan's. He's going to be covering a game that he knows all too well, and a game that I've played also myself and played a little bit of multiplayer with. Got a few experiences alongside. Crusader Kings 2. Morgan, tell us what Crusader Kings 2 is all about.
Crusader Kings 2 is basically a grand strategy game with a dynastic role-playing element. So you got to think. Did I say dynastic as like dynastic? Basically, think Risk, but you play as kind of noble families. Think of it that way.
Yeah.
It's like Game of Thrones meets Risk.
Yeah.
Yes, basically.
Essentially.
Yes. And the great thing is, there's even a mod, which I'll go into later, which is the Game of Thrones mod. And it's set in Westeros, the mod is. So the game is set in Europe during... The basic vanilla game is 1066 to 1453. Which is the year span for the game. And you start off and you can play as one of the great families of Europe in the Middle Ages. So you can play as countries, you can play as dukes, and you can play as counts.
Yeah, it's all historically accurate, isn't it, from that time period?
Yeah.
So.
Well, it starts historically accurate.
Yeah, and then obviously by then, yeah.
Obviously,
Is
by the
anyone
time
going to
you
go
start
for Count Dracula?
You can actually play there is actually the Duchy of Transylvania, so you theoretically can play as someone and name your child Dracula and be Count Dracula of Transylvania.
There's going to be yes, Impaler? Vlad the Impaler, surely.
And again, I'll come into that later.
Yeah.
I'll come into that because basically you play as the ruler of your dynasty is what you play as. So and you play as the county or king or duke, and the aim of the game. What they say about the game, there is no way to win the game because there's no goals that you have to do. There's no achievements. Not achievements. There's no kind of objectives to complete.
Yeah, like
So
global domination isn't something that like you can really obtain in the game, so you don't really have to go for it.
You can do it. It can be done. It's easily done, but that's not. The aim of the game is to spread your dynasty, spread your family's name, and make it powerful, and eventually rule.
You have a time
and
limit on it then? You have to like spread your dynasty as far as you can in like a certain amount of
No.
gaming.
Again, there's no objectives to it, but the game ends at the year 1453.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you play the whole game from 1066 to 1453, it ends.
Yeah.
It ends at 1453.
That will take
And
many hours, though. Many hours to get to.
Like I've played it for nearly. I'm trying to load Steam. It's not working. There's at least 300 hours, and I've never done a
Full run.
1066 to 1453 full run because it gets to a point, and it's a problem with the game. It gets to a point because you're playing it, and because you're playing the game. To make it sound really obvious, you get better than the computer at it. You're better at the AI because the AI is really bad. It's not bad. It was really bad when I first started playing it. And
it's predictable. I think it's probably a better
It's
word.
predictable, and it's like the kind of the war where it's numbers versus numbers. You can avoid them until you have the most numbers, and then you just go kill them. It's just when you start off in the game, it's really hard, and the AI is really kind of really punishing. If you make a mistake, it won't let you off. But once you get to become a king, basically, is what the way it gets really easy. Not really easy, but it gets easy enough that there's nothing's really a a problem.
Yeah, like when you first start off the game and you're like a lower like you only have like a little bit of land. If the big like chunk of like if a king next to you wants to put their foot on you, they're gonna do it. But if you've got like a kingdom with a lot of soldiers, if they try and do that, then you can fight back, and then you can use that force to do it. But like getting to that point, I think is probably like one of the harder bits of the game, in my opinion, and also one of the best parts of it, because in that way you're trying to use all the channels really available to you to get to that point.
And a lot of the game is not just, I want that land, I'm taking it. There's a big part of the game. It's a big part of declaring war and taking land. But a lot of the other part is kind of, because it's a game over if you don't have a legitimate heir, basically. If you don't have an heir of your dynasty, of your family name, it's the game over. Like, that's never happened to me, because you just have at least one child and it's fine.
You pump those babies out. You get them out there.
Well, Tony knows all about that. The multiplayer we were playing. This guy was like 9,000 and he had about 10,000 children.
My guy was basically immortal. Yeah, he was a horny bastard. It was quite funny because like he had 3 different wives. And like he kept having children with like all the new wives that I was giving him, and they were all like 16.
He was basically Walder Frey out of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
No, but like obviously because it's quite historically accurate, and it's set in like the Middle Ages, so people didn't live very long. So like you get to around about 50, 60, expect your character to die pretty soon. But like Tony's character was 86.
Oh no, it was about 87. 87, I think he died at.
Like 87. That's like I've only ever seen it happen twice, and that was one of the times was Tony's. So.
And story. Keep having kids. It extends your lifespan.
Yeah, apparently so. The funny thing, I made him addicted to torture at the end of the game, and it was amazing. Obviously, torture elongates your lifespan, apparently. So
there's a lot. A lot of the game is like option choosing, like choosing things to do, like plotting. Kind of there's a mechanic in game called intrigue. And the intrigue you can use to plot to do things, to like assassinate people, to kind of take land from them, to get claims, and it's all, and that's kind of that's what I find the most fun in the game, because you just plot to kill people, and
you can bribe people to join your plot and sort of thing, can't you, to get them on your side?
Yeah. When you're playing, like when you start off, if you play as like a single count, as a guy with just like one piece of land, one province. Like plotting to kill the people like that, your superiors is really fun, because you kill enough people, you'll end up getting the land. It's really, like, I find that really fun when I'm playing.
Yeah, like if you manage to work through we played on our multiplayer game like the Spanish brothers, and if you manage to kill like one of your brothers at the really start of the game before he has any kids, you inherit his land. So if you're quick enough and you're sly enough, you can actually take their land without them even knowing. So it's quite fun that way, that you can subvertly do it along those lines.
Yeah, and it's all about, the way I think of it, there's 3 ways of kind of gaining land in Crusader Kings 2. It's general war, like attacking people, marriages, and killing, and like plotting to kill people. Those are the 3 ways I think you kind of inherit. And all kind of claims on taking land is based on the claim of the person. So, like, if my character had a claim on the Kingdom of Ireland...
Are you going to come and invade me over here, are you? Is that what you're going to do? Okay.
Yeah, I am, yeah. I have that claim to go and take over that title. But if I don't have that ability to claim... If I don't have a claim, I can't declare war. I can't just declare war whenever I want. Yeah. And obviously, then a lot of those marriages and, like, your wife is, like... And again, there's 2... Like, I was reading up on Tumblr earlier... And there's the 2 kind of change of schools of thought when it comes to marriages. Do you marry for the alliance? So you marry some king's daughter, or do you marry someone for the traits? And the traits are really important when it comes to Crusader Kings 2, because your characters, there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
It's very deep, isn't it? When you say grand strategy, it is very grand. Like, it covers
it's very in depth.
Yeah.
It's your character has a set of traits which kind of dictates how good you are at certain things. So you've got diplomacy, martial, stewardship, intrigue, and learning. You've got 5, and you've got 5 characters, NPC characters, that are your council, which are equivalent to those traits. and then you can marry for those traits. So you can boost your traits through a marriage, or you can kind of generally marry a king's daughter and get a good alliance from it. So it's that kind of, a lot of the game is you juggling decisions. Like a lot of the game, I don't really find myself declaring war. That I go on like a kind of a rampage sometimes and just declare loads of war because I'm bored. But a lot of the game,
just to spill some blood over Europe, just
yeah. A lot of the game is you juggling decisions. Do I marry this person? Do I marry that person? Do I kill this person?
Yeah.
Do I do this to get that claim? Or how do I subvert somebody else? And so that's really bad description of the game, but yeah.
No, you did right. Like with Crusader Kings 2, like having your family and like getting that part of the game nailed down is really, really important. But like Haley in Tropico, last week you said that a lot of stuff, some of the stuff about the game is obviously you've got your El Presidente, and you said also there's a family mechanic in that. Is just I don't want to obviously talk too much about the game we covered last week, but obviously, like, how much does that impact the game? Because in Crusader Kings 2, that heavily impacts. Like, it's pretty much all about what the game is. It's like how much.
It does reminisce actually of it. It is not that important. I mean, it just adds a little bit of. It adds an effect, a trait. It's just a trait, and it's not important as much as your own decision making in the building. So it's not as influential or important. It does sound a bit closer, I would say, to Long Live the Queen, where you are where you choose what trait to train up. So I think that was probably a bit closer to this. Tom, no?
I suppose so. Yeah, but this is another indie game which we're going to have to talk about. But yeah, you play the character, this girl growing up to be the queen, and you have to level up your traits because certain events happen, and you have to meet those requirements, or else it can either go very wrong or you can die.
Yeah, which happens in Crusader Kings too. Like if if you don't have any intrigue and an enemy king has lots of them, you can be damn sure he's getting plots against you because he's going to be able to do that. Yeah. I think like the main thing about Crusader Kings 2 that's maybe different to those games is that the fact that you're playing against the game in the games, like, because I know I have seen like let's plays of like was it Long Live the Queen? I think it is.
Long Live the Queen.
Yeah, I've seen it. But with Crusader Kings 2, it's not just you're playing against the game and the things that happen in it. You're playing against like multiple other kings that are trying to subvert you. Like it's not just like one threat. It's not like one base thing you're looking at. You're like, okay, I've got 5 intrigue, but this king has only 5, so I don't have to worry too much about him. But this guy's got 20, or I don't know. You know. So
the worst is like with Crusader Kings 2. It's like when you start off at 1066 and you play as England. You're in war because there's at 1066 obviously is when William the Conqueror came over. So there's like 4 different wars going on. So it means like France has a claim on England. There's England. Norway has a claim on England. So it's like trying to juggle everything. It's juggling opinion. The opinion, the kind of like numbers is really important in Crusader Kings 2 because like your vassals, your lord below you, your vassals and your levies is all dependent on their opinion of you. So if your people below you don't like you, they're not going to give you their troops.
Yeah, and they could have factions against you, can't they? And like as much as you can plot with other people to like, and you can bribe other people, you have to remember it works like double way. Yeah, like the enemy king could bribe your own vassals and get them to plan to kill you. And like you can have like different stuff with them for that, and you can like if you find out, and you can end their plot, or you can just send them to prison. There's lots of other stuff you can do to deal with it, but all of them have their own ups and downs and sort of thing. So,
but yeah, it's sorry, I haven't even really talked. It was published by Paradox Studios, and this is what their speciality is. It's kind of grand strategy games. They've Crusader Kings 1, which I haven't played. There's Europa Universalis, which is they released one last year, number 4. Like Crusader Kings 2 is not old; it came out 2012. Yeah, but it's by Paradox Studios, which me and Tony, I had certain things against them for a while.
Yes, we've said many bad words about Paradox, and
I won't say them on here, but because they've always had a multiplayer aspect to it, but trying to do that before their last patch was hella hard.
Yeah, I've only
near impossible. We couldn't do it.
We only managed to. Yeah, we only managed to play via like basically using the same network when he actually flew over here. Beforehand, it was horrendous trying to actually get a game going. The multiplayer component needs a lot of work. That's one thing.
That's probably one. But then that's one of my big things about Crusader Kings 2 now is like they've still got a lot of coding issues. They need to It's not like the base game is fine. The base game is good. But there's aspects of the game which is just that needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
And the problem with Crusader Kings 2 now is that Paradox Studios is obviously they're constantly developing new games and they're working on Europa Universalis now. So I think they've got 2 coders working on game development for Crusader Kings 2, and Crusader Kings 2 is still a game that's played by a lot of people.
Yeah, there's like of the following that it has, it's a massive following. Like what I mean is that of the following it has, they're very dedicated to that game, aren't they? There's like 2 things I want to ask you, like going into Crusader Kings 2. Like we'll talk about the multiplayer quickly, and I'll go into those 2 things. But like the multiplayer I found was like when I played it and it was working, it's all fine, but sometimes you feel like you're working against the game to do what you want to do sometimes. Like the amount of times we've had a game desync and had to come completely out of the game and go all the way back in. We've had to delete saves, reload saves, and like all we want to do is in there and be playing the game against each other and stuff. So.
No, I agree. I think the multiplayer part of Crusader Kings 2 is probably the one thing it needs the most work on. It's almost as if they don't expect people to play multiplayer. And that's the whole point of games now, is that you play with it's always been the point of games. You play with your friends. Like I know, like a lot of people on YouTube and a lot of people online, it's like they say, Crusader Kings 2 is basically a solo game. Well, it is a solo game. You play it on your own, but
there's potential.
Either they shouldn't have put a multiplayer aspect in it at all, or they should put one in that works properly.
Yeah.
Basically, those are the 2 reasons to do with multiplayer.
Yeah, like one of the things that like we could have done in multiplayer, and you can still do, but I just don't recommend doing it because there is a lot of work that needs to be done in it. But let's say that all the multiplayer functions working fine. We could have had Chris controlling England, we could have had Haley controlling Ireland, I could have been controlling Spain, or like you don't control entire countries. What I mean is that you could have controlled a part of that area. We could have had our little areas. We could have all been doing the same thing. We could have been negotiating with each other as kings, marrying all of our kin off to each other, like in big games with lots of people. But man, imagine having a desync when you've got like 10 people in a game. That would be horrendous.
But the problem it's with Crusader Kings 2, it's all based on networks. It's all based on even now it's like me and Tony play multiplayer. It's not like we log into a server. It's I host the server and Tony comes to my server. Basically, that's how it works.
Yeah. So
it's dependent on my setup. It's dependent on Tony's setup if he hosts it. So it's really kind of, if we like, I've seen YouTube like live streams of people doing like a 12-man multiplayer, and it can work. But if someone loses connection, you've got to start again. If it desyncs, you've got to start again. I think that's probably the one big problems of Crusader Kings 2.
Yeah. And it always tends to happen at the worst moments when you're just about to exact war. You're about to be able to get that awesome marriage and stuff like that. I know exactly what you mean. The other 2 things I want to ask you about this game were obviously we're going to talk about the Game of Thrones mod, because I know everyone wants to hear about how that mod works, because it is pretty cool. But this is a game we were talking about DLC a little bit earlier, and this game is riddled. There's lots and lots of DLC for this game, to the point that you could spend about, I think if you were to get all of it without on sale, because I know there was a sale recently that you could get it, but let's say without sale, you could spend, and this is going to shock you guys, the base game I got for about 20 quid. For all the DLC and the base game, you're looking at about 250.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's worse than Rome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rome Total War was bad. Bloody hell.
Who published Rome?
Total War.
Activision, I think.
Yeah, Activision. That was the publishers.
Yeah. I think
Creative Assembly developed it. Creative Assembly developed
it. Yeah.
But
that was it. Sorry.
That like DLC in Crusader Kings 2, and it's the same with Europa Universalis now. But I don't play, but I keep in touch with the community.
Yeah.
It's awful for DLC. Well, at the moment there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 major DLC expansions, and it's been out for 2 years.
Yeah, and one of them
they're
is
all about £20 each.
One of them is as silly as like having a ruler editor, so you can rule what you look like as a
No,
ruler.
that's not. That's part of the loads of minor DLC.
Yeah, but it's still something that I believe that should be added into the game, regardless. I don't think it should have been.
I think, but then that's how. But then as it kind of, we could go back onto DLCs because that's how they're going to make their money now. But I think, like, it's really bad. Like the DLC is with their DLCs, they don't hold back the improvements that they put in. So like all the DLC improvements that they put in kind of go into the base game, but it's a lot of kind of the added extras. Like the one that I really want to get is the Old Gods, and it gives you an earlier start date. It takes it back to 966. So it gives you like another 100 years to play, and it kind of adds a different aspect with the religion, because like obviously the religion part of it is a big part of the game as well, because obviously at that time
it's called Crusader Kings. Yeah.
Yeah. It was Catholics versus Muslims basically at that time. So a lot, if you play at certain parts of the map that you play in, there's a lot of kind of scope for you during holy wars and crusades and stuff like that. So
yeah, like if you fight like the Muslims, you can get like the Pope will like send you money, and sometimes like you can crusades will go out, so there's massive multi-nation wars against the Muslims and stuff, so they'll be able to go for things. So but yeah, like so, but then the DLCs, like there's a lot of, but then there's so many DLCs as well that are ridiculously small that I don't understand why. Like the ruler designer, like extra music, like different ports, like different kind of, and it's almost thinking, why didn't they just put that in the game? There's no need. Like I can understand the expansions because they're adding new content into the game. Yeah, fair enough.
They're adding in new content. I get that, but when it's like the tiniest change and they're saying, oh, you have to pay £10 for that, I'm like, I'm not going to pay for it.
Yeah, that's it. I'd be interested to see how much money they've made off of some of the more BS DLCs that they've done. There is a few of them on there, and like we said, like when I first saw, because they have it up on Steam, like it's got the original one, and get the entire collection. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Mad. And really, all you have to do is get the vanilla game, and you've got pretty much all you need. You don't really need any of that extra.
Like, if I say to anyone, if you want to try Crusader Kings 2 up, don't get the DLC. There's no point. There's no point getting the DLC straight away because it's an expense, and it might put you off because it adds a lot of stuff into the game. Just get the vanilla game, kind of just test it, because there's a steep learning curve on Crusader Kings 2.
Yeah, the tutorial is not good at all.
No, the tutorial doesn't explain everything, and it talks about things that you never really pay attention to, like the economy. Yeah, and that's it's not an aspect. Like, it's an aspect of the game that you can play if you really want to be really min-maxy and kind of really, really get into the tiniest, minute detail of it. But it's not something. It's not like Victoria or kind of the other games like that.
Or imagine like Tropico 5 that we talked last week, which I imagine is quite money based when you're buying new things and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like money in Crusader Kings 2 isn't as much of an issue. Like it kind of takes care of itself. Yeah.
But then it talks about that in the tutorial though.
Yeah, and it makes you confused about the
I think that was the big thing about, because I remember when one of my friends, Gemma, she got, and I was showing her the game, and she was getting it, and I was like, I said, watch a YouTube video on it, don't watch the tutorial.
Yeah.
Watch the YouTube with Crusader Kings 2 is really big. And there's loads of people that kind of will do Let's Plays and just do new campaigns. And just watch that because they will explain it so much better.
Yeah. The tutorial's awful. And as you said, I mean, I learned a lot of the stuff about the game just playing with you. And no game it should ever be that way. You should be able to learn all the final basics of it. And it is a game with a lot of stuff to offer, so it could be over-boggling the amount of stuff. So learning about all these other stuff that you don't really need to know about is just adding more stuff onto that, really. Let's talk about the Game of Thrones mod. Everyone here is playing a Game of Thrones.
I was just going to say, so they should take instruction writing lessons from IKEA then.
Yes, flat pack their tutorial, shall we say?
It is awful. Like if any of you get it, literally, we'll do a multiplayer game and I'll explain how everything works.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. But Game of Thrones. So you guys, everyone here is a fan of Game of Thrones. Come on, everyone's a fan of Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Literally
awful seasons. I can't wait for the fifth.
Yeah.
one of my favourite mods. I love this mod. So it converts the entire map to Westeros.
All the characters, all the
characters you can play, and they have literally the guys the people. I don't know if the people that have developed this mod do it for free, and they've put so much work into it. It's almost could be an expansion of the game.
Yeah, it should be.
And they could sell it as a DLC,
and lots of people would buy it as well because it is so well made.
So in depth, they have done you can play it just generally. You can play it as you can go back to when the Targaryens first invaded Westeros, and you can play it from then. And they've written in so much code, so much history. It's great. It's a great mod. I remember I did a start when the Targaryens played, and I played as one of the kings. I played King of the Reach, and it's so much fun that you playing as this independent king, and it's literally that's the time of the mod that I really enjoy, because when you play as in modern day Westeros, as I like to say, it's a lot of it is you do the rebellion, and it's a good quick way to play Crusader Kings 2. You do the rebellion, then you go, but playing back, it's really good because you can literally play as how you play Crusader Kings 2.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I found that was really impressive with them is that if you play as certain key characters along the lane, like I saw a Let's Play of someone playing as Daenerys, and it actually does story segments that are fully typed out in the game. So as you're going along, you can make all the choice, and you can raise the Unsullied and to send them off to war, and you do all of that as her. Yeah. I saw one person who actually played as Peter Baelish and tried to plot against killing Ned Stark and then marrying back Kat, which I thought was hilarious towards the story.
I did one when I played as Robb Stark just after Ned Stark's head. Spoilers, but just after Ned Stark.
Everyone knows it.
I play as Robb Stark doing the rebellion, and literally it was so much fun. I won the war. And the option was, what do you want to do with the Lannisters? And I was like, kill them all. It was great.
Everyone dies.
Literally, because I won the war and I captured all of the Lannisters, like Tywin, Cersei, Jaime, Joffrey, all of them. And I was like, just kill them all.
Yeah.
What about Tyrion? You can't kill Tyrion.
Killed him. He's a Lannister.
Merciless, Morgan, merciless. One of the things I like about it, they really went into all the details, because if you actually look at some of the traits they added in, you've actually got for instance, for Cersei and Jaime, you've actually got incest as one of their traits. So it brings down their fertility to anyone that they're legitimately married to.
Yeah, but it's also, but also with Game of Thrones, they've added in so much detail in terms of the trait. There's something I haven't really talked about, like the traits. It's kind of their character, the character development in CK2. It's how your character reacts and how people views you. So you can be humble, you can be pious, you can be greedy, you can be lustful.
Or incredibly fertile, Tony.
You can be addicted to torture and be very fertile. Yeah,
that's how a lot of the gamers worked, and they kind of affect just your stats as well. And in the Game of Thrones mod, they literally add in so many, and it's the same in the other mods. So they've got a Skyrim mod, they've got a Lord of the Rings mod, they've got a lot of people have done mods that have kind of cleaned the game up as well.
Yeah,
they've kind of added more definition.
A lot of those pet peeves that you said in the vanilla game, they've actually mopped those up themselves. So
yeah. And the great thing about now they've opened up the Steam Workshop, a lot of the mods are going up on Steam Workshop now. But still, there's all the big mods, like the Game of Thrones mod, Skyrim mod. You've got to download yourselves, but they're all free and they're all really well done.
Yeah, the only thing I will say, adding into that about the mod support on Steam, it is a bit horrendous on that game. Yeah. It doesn't really work that well, so you're better off actually just downloading it, from a Crusader Kings 2 reputable site, and actually doing it that way, because I've tried a few of them on there and some of them just don't work that well. It's just not very well optimized.
With Crusader Kings 2, the community's really big, and with the mods, I think it's kind of the way the developers view mods. It's great, we don't have to do any more work on the game, the mods will do it.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the opinion. So they're really supportive of mods. They're willing to host mods on their kind of on the Paradox site. They're we'll have the safe link here. They're not oh no, we don't like mods, we're not going to help you with the mods. But mainly I think that's because Paradox are mods are great. we can focus on our other games now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think if you're looking for a game that you really want to be meticulous and plan every section out of your game, and you want a game that you can that you can give a lot of time to and it will reward you for doing it in terms of grand strategy, then you can't go much wrong with Crusader Kings 2. The problem is that it is a especially fine taste. Like, even for someone that likes strategy games, you may not like Crusader Kings 2. That's one of the things I add about it is I would recommend watching like a YouTube series on it if you're really considering it, and then deciding whether this might be for you, because it is very overwhelming. It's very unforgiving, and
especially at the beginning when you start playing it.
Yeah.
I think you said this to me as well. You're like, why did I buy this game?
Yeah, it was like, whoa, this is just. I feel like it's more than I can handle. It's mental.
But as I was saying, there is that steep learning curve.
Yeah.
So literally, it's painful.
Yeah.
It's
but once you get over it, man,
I understand the game now.
Yeah, there's no game that really can offer what it offers, and I think that's always what a game should strive to be, is to be something a little bit extra. And man, like I said, no one does what Crusader Kings 2 can do better than Crusader Kings 2.
Exactly.
So you have to say that about it. Is there anything else you want to cover about Crusader Kings, or?
It's only on PC.
Only on PC, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it would not work on consoles. God damn, that would be like the worst game to ever have on a console. I can say that for sure. The amount of stuff that's like you have to go through menus and all the god. Yeah. Nah, that would be bad. Okay, so we're done with Crusader Kings 2. Fine little chat about that. You can catch. I was about to say you can catch some video. I've never done a video in Crusader Kings 2. I'm too scared of it. I'm afraid of the.
We'll have to do one.
I'm actually afraid of because of the community that surrounds it. They're like die-hard Crusader Kings 2.
And they're vicious.
Yeah, and they're vicious. So I'm like, I don't want to do it. Yeah, so I don't know.
Why don't you do a multiplayer with Morgan?
Even I'm scared.
Yeah,
so.
Morgan, and he's good at the game.
He's courageous.
No, like what I will say, because I don't know if there was probably one person out of the KITN clan that would do Let's Plays of Crusader Kings 2, it would be me, but you know me, everyone knows me, I'm kind of not the most reliable person when it comes to doing things. If you want to watch a Let's Play of Crusader Kings 2, the person that I would recommend is Arumba07 on YouTube.
Yeah, and I double that. He's very, very good.
He does really good Let's Plays of it, and you learn so much about the game watching him, because he literally knows the game. He has done mods for it, and he does it, and me plugging, yay! But in fact, he's done loads of stuff for the game. Like he doesn't work for Paradox, but he should, because he probably gets the most people buying it.
He knows more about the game than they do at this point.
Basically. Other people, there's Quill18, there's Kelvin, they're good, but Arumba's my favourite.
In fact, the Daenerys Stormborn Let's Play I watched was his, so there you go. That's a pretty cool thing to do. And even if you don't like the game, just being able to watch like a Crusader Kings 2 Game of Thrones mod Let's Play is actually pretty damn fun.
Yeah. And also with the Game of Thrones mod, originally it was just Westeros, but recently the amount of work they do, and they've expanded literally to parts of which we haven't even seen in the TV shows yet.
Yeah, that's it.
That's how much work they're doing on it.
Yeah, you can go all across the Karth and everywhere like that, and the Dothraki Sea, isn't it what they call it? I think.
See
the wastes, that they've made. Yeah, you can do a lot of that. So, okay, let's move forward from Crusader Kings 2. Fine debut performance from you, Morgan. I applaud you. Well done. There you go. Yay! Okay, so we're now going to move on to Chris's game of the week. A game that, almost like Crusader Kings 2, because it's got a relatively small fan base when you look into the comparison of the overall scheme of games. But of the fans that like it, they treat it like it's like a godlike status game, and for good merit as well. It's got a very good pedigree that surrounds it. Shadow of the Colossus, a legendary game, one that I played only a little bit and wish I had more time to play, and I always regret not being able to do it. But Chris, this is your game of the week. Take it away, Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, so Shadow of the Colossus, developed by Team Ico, who are responsible for creating another cult classic, Ico, which was released by Sony Computer Entertainment back when they went by that moniker back in the old school days of the really old PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Directed by this is where I might offend some Asian viewers, because I'm probably going to get the pronunciation of every single name wrong.
Okay.
Fumiko Ueda. The producer's Kenji Kado, designed by Fujim Ueda, so done by the same bloke. Made by a few different writers who I'm not even going to try to pronounce their names. Just look up the wiki page, they're all on there.
Yeah.
It was released in 2005 in Japan, and then early 2006 in the EU and in America, because being a Japanese-made game, it was released there first. It's classified as an action-adventure game, but I classify it as more an action puzzle game, considering the elements involved.
Yeah. I would firmly agree with you with that fact. It's not. I don't think it's. If you think action adventure, you think something like God of War. This is definitely not God of War or something like that. It's much different. So.
Yeah. Although this game did actually get re-released in 2011 for the PS3 for like a HD version, which I didn't actually play myself because I never got my hands on a PS3. But I don't really think it needed to be re-released in HD purely because when it was released, it was the most original looking game, and aside from Ico, the guys who made Ico made a quite original looking game. But when
you're saying like the art style is so unique it didn't need to be touched up. It's a little bit like I'm watching a Final Fantasy X Let's Play of the HD remake, and some of the things, because they've upped it up, actually looks a little bit off when you look at it back in the original. I know that sounds weird, but yeah, I haven't seen it, but I imagine maybe it's something along the same lines.
Yeah, but for the time it was released, for like 2005, this is like, almost 10 years ago now.
That makes me feel very old, by the way. That makes me feel very, very old. I don't know if anyone else thinks that as well.
Yeah, this was released 10 years ago, and for the time it was released, there was nothing else on the market that was quite as good as Shadow of the Colossus. The programmers and the designers nailed it. They really got it done well, and because the Colossuses themselves look huge and formidable and quite terrifying up close. From a distance, they don't look all that much, but when you get up close to them, it's like shit.
Yeah.
Like the horse is very well done. The environment is like huge, epic in scale. It was one of the first like games to ever really encompass a truly open world.
Yeah,
because you could go anywhere, like right from the off of the game. As soon as you get control of the character, you can hop on your horse and go pretty much anywhere. You can go anywhere where the Colossuses aren't, basically. So you can't go into their specific little areas because you've got to do them all in. You've got to do all 16 of the fuckers in order.
Yeah.
So like those are the only places you couldn't go. Everywhere else, you could just ride around for hours and you'd get pretty much lost. Because this map was insanely huge. It was gigantic.
Yeah.
So bear in mind, you've got 16 of these things to get to.
Yeah.
And you've got to defeat them all in order.
Does it have much of a system of like, okay, this is genuine, like in a general manner, this is where you need to go, but does it let you know? Do you have to find it all by yourself? Is it any sort of indication?
This is something that I quite like about this game, because I found in a lot of games these days there's too much hand holding.
Yeah, I agree.
Like in games these days, especially in like first-person shooter games, you'll get like an objective refresh like every 5 seconds, or in a puzzle game, you'll stand still for 5 seconds. A game will give you a really obvious hint. In this, at the start of the game, if you're not paying attention, you'll miss the hint, because the big overhead god voice that could only be better if it was voiced by Morgan Freeman or Liam Neeson, who seem to be the go-to god characters these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the big god voice, which is like so okay, I'll go do that. But yeah, this thing tells you like your sword will light your way. That is the only hint you get.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I was about to say, what does that mean?
Yeah, and then you get a slight hint as to the type of environment your Colossus might be in, it resides in the sand or something like that for one of them, I think it is. And basically what you have to do is you hold down what would be the circle button, and you'll raise your sword, and when you turn around, you'll get like a beam of light that like kind of gets sharper and more focused as you turn towards where it is.
Oh, I see. So like it's showing you the way, but not so much evidently. It's like, oh yeah, like yeah. One of the things I hated
the direction where the Colossus is, but you still have to find a way around the environment to get to it.
Yeah. One of the things that reminds me of. What I mean, it reminds me of in terms of like when it's done really bad is like with the Fable 3. I only play Fable 3. When that's like it puts you on, so where do I need to go? And it puts like a nice little breadcrumb trail in front of you, and then you don't look at all the gorgeous art that's around it. You're just like following the breadcrumb trail. It's like, I just want to know roughly where to go, and then I can go and explore. That's the one thing I really hate about that game.
That's another thing the game does well as well. The environment is just so beautiful and so varied that it can take a good 15 minutes to get a couple of these people, like a couple of these fuckers. They're like really out in the sticks.
Yeah,
they can be like right on the edge of the map, a couple of them, and it takes you a good 15-20 minutes to get to these bastards. But the environments are very varied and they're very beautiful and they're so artistically done that you have quite a nice time getting there because you're like, oh, fucking look at that. That's pretty. That's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the game was very well constructed and it's become one of the most influential titles in video game history. Like really has. Anyone who played who had a PS2 has probably played Shadow of the Colossus, and if they have, they loved it. Like I find it hard to find anything bad about this game. Just the overall audio design, like the soundtrack, just everything was spot on. The soundtrack's really good. Like the big intense battle music it kicks up with is very epic and huge, like Lord of the Rings style. Like all the down moments are very nicely done as well.
Yeah. Like what's the general story that follows it? Is there a story, or is it just pretty much sets you up on your way?
There is a story, yes, but it's a very minimalist story. So it doesn't give you like a huge amount of background to it. So it gives you just enough story to be getting on with, so that your own imagination can let fly with it, basically.
Yeah.
So the basis of it is you follow a young dude called Wanda, who enters a forbidden land because his girlfriend Mono, I think I pronounced that right, Mono or something, Mono.
And her friend Stereo, but yeah, go on.
Yeah. You travel to this land to basically try and bring her back to life because it's hinted that she may have succumbed to some kind of demonic possession, so she was sacrificed to get rid of it. But
okay, that's one way of getting rid of it. Just death. Yeah, okay.
It's only hinted very, 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 very vaguely. And that's only if you're really paying attention to the game. And yeah, basically the whole object of it is, you've brought her to this temple. You're speaking to this big creature that is actually another sentient god type being, I guess, named Dormin. Who echoes from above and speaks to you about the Colossus. It's like, oh no, to bring her back, you need to destroy these 16 idols. And basically, you've got a sword. The sword that you bring with you is like a relic that you've stolen from your village to help fight these things. And you get a few cutscenes in the game where you've got these guys on horses kind of chasing after you and go, we must stop him before he achieves his goal. And you're like, okay, well, who are these dudes coming after me?
Yeah, yeah. So you have to deal with them alongside of the gargantuan sort of.
Actually, you don't. You don't encounter them until the very, very, very end of the game.
Oh, okay.
They're just I think they're just there to impose a sort of a vague time limit. You've got to do this before these guys get here, otherwise they're going to kill you. Because you're you're a kid. You're only 15, 16 in this game. Yeah, probably about that. And yeah, you're told by this big Dormin thing in the sky, who has a voice you do not want to fuck with, to basically get on your horse and go just defeat these 16 colossi. And you go, okay, let's go then. So you jump on Argo, your badass, just god of a horse. He is the most badass horse in any game. Zelda's horse can go fuck off. Shadowfax can go suck a big dick.
Epona
Argo is now the lord of horses.
That's Zelda's horse, isn't it? Epona. I think, isn't it?
Yeah, Epona's got nothing on fucking Argo.
But it's got an epic name as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Argo.
That's a stallion.
An Academy Award-winning movie, nonetheless. So.
Yeah, it's and the way they did the horse was very good as well, because I've been reading through the wiki a lot today, and apparently when the guy in charge and the developers and the programmers all got together, they didn't want the horse to do as it's told all the time. They wanted it to act like a proper horse. So, if you instruct it to, go and jump off a cliff, it will buck and try and throw you off.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it won't turn the direction you want it to. But they didn't. But apparently they had to, that took a lot of messing around and actually delayed the game release quite a bit because they wanted it to act like a horse and not always do as it's told. But they also didn't want it to do it so much that the game was unplayable.
Yeah, I get that. It could get annoying really quickly. And just getting really.
But there are some areas where you have to use your horse to defeat the Colossus, and obviously you don't want it not doing as it's told when you're in that kind of scenario.
Yeah, that would be the worst thing when you got this thing moving over.
It's so awkward.
Yeah.
Even though this horse, if you summon it, occasionally when you're fighting a Colossus, it will run up to you, stay still just long enough for you to get on it, and then run away. Sometimes it will run straight past you and decide to attack the Colossus.
Okay.
Flailing at it with its hooves, like, come on, bitch. It's like, calm the fuck down, Argo. Jesus.
I can take you. I don't need my human. That's fine.
Yeah. and
100 foot tall, but so what?
Yeah. Well, this game involving... this game involving the horse, especially the horse, gave me both the most emotionally draining moment and the happiest moment that I've ever had in gaming.
Is there any spoilers coming?
Yes, massive spoilers coming up. If you have not played this game, plug your ears because it will ruin the game for you. But obviously, towards the end of the game, the sense of isolation has been pounded into you in this game. It's like, you are alone. You have a sword, a bow, your horse. That is it. From the word go, that is all you have at your disposal. And
you don't get anything extra to keep you going.
Oh no, you get nothing. You get sword, bow, horse. That's it. You get nothing else to help you out from the word go. And it's like the whole sense of isolation and that you're on your own. You've got to defeat these colossal things all by yourself. It's pounded into you from second one. So you get quite attached to the horse because it's the only other alive character that's on your side.
I can see where this is going.
Yeah. And there's a really horrible bit. Oh my god, this is upsetting to talk about. Jesus. Just as you get to the last Colossi, you're riding your horse in, and the bridge you're on starts to collapse, and you're like, "Oh shit, no!" Because a cutscene kicks in, and you're like, "Oh god, no, please no!" You're galloping across this bridge. You get to the end of it, just before the whole thing crumbles underneath you. You jump, land on a ledge, and the game gives you just enough time to go, "Oh fuck." I'm so glad we got out of that. Before the ledge you land on starts to crumble and fall away, the horse bucks you off, throwing you to safety, and falls to its death.
Oh, wow.
And your character just whips around and goes, no! He's trying to catch the horse with his hand, but he obviously can't do it. And you're just like, no! And it actually really hits you hard, because the whole cutscene takes, 10, 15 seconds to happen? And then you're back into the game, so it's it hits you so hard.
How many hours roughly have you been spending with the horse up to that point? Is it quite
It is a tricky game. The first time you play it, it is tricky as fuck, and you get no hints to help you with the Colossi, except if you've spent a good 20 minutes trying to defeat this thing and you haven't got anywhere. The big god voice will give you a really vague three sentence poem you've got to then decipher to defeat the fucker.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's a good, I reckon, 5-6 hours worth of gameplay if you properly sit there and just smash the shit out of it.
But if you're doing it from a fresh standpoint, then you can probably add another lot onto that.
Oh yeah, you can add another day onto that. Yeah. I reckon another 24 hours at the very least, because it gets very tricky, and just the travel time itself is a good 2-3 hours worth of travel time in this game.
Yeah.
So you spent a long time with this horse. You spent a long time getting attached to this horse, and when it dies, it hits you quite hard. And I think that's very tricky to do in games with a character that has no lines whatsoever.
Yeah.
That whinnies. That's about it.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, they do that in a lot of games, and sometimes it just doesn't flat out work. No. I mean, death in a video game is a very sort of a huge subject that we can talk about. Some games it means nothing, in other games it means almost everything.
Yeah.
But just going back to the story, in regards to that, I mean. In a game like this, as you say, there isn't much story. You get a little bit, and then it sets you up on your way. How much story then? Tom, what would you say in terms of games like this? How much do you think a story would drive you on, or are games like this that kind of give you sort of a premise and let you go on your way? Are you less likely to get involved in it then, or
no, because I can't know about it beforehand, but. Sorry, no, I'm just being hit by a terrible death that meant everything to me, and flashbacks like Vietnam right now.
Oh, I know, it's horrible, isn't it?
One of the tweets right today, I was playing the original Suikoden. There's this Gremio, he was...
Don't spoil it, God!
I don't know I don't know if any of you are going to play Suikoden. It's going to be very hard to get your hands on a copy without using an emulator, but... Yeah, basically, I've got this character. He's basically there for you. He's looking out for you. He's been there since your character was Sprog. And basically, this instance happens when everyone's about to die, but he just throws you through, bolts the door, and it's just like, all right, you guys head on. I'll stay here and just die. And it's like, what? No, don't do this to me. And then he's dead, and then it's just like you just have that moment where you just feel your lips tighten and just like right.
But it
fucking
was
right.
a long death. It was nowhere near as shocking as a 15-second buck from a horse.
Yeah.
But that is just a slap in the face. And you you need to pause to actually let it sink in?
Yeah. You need to pause the game. Well, there's no immediate peril just after you've been bucked from the horse. Like you're on a platform that's now stable, and you're not immediately in front of the Colossus. So you've got to climb up and around a few bits anyway to get to the last Colossus anyway. So there's no immediate, and that hits you harder. There's no immediate peril where you're standing. You are now completely safe, but your horse is now dead, and it's sacrificed itself for you, and you're just standing there at the edge of this precipice, like.
You're just trying to digest all of that, yeah.
It's just like an emotional punch in the gut, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like your surprise. Your horse survives so much up until that point. It survives with you fighting Colossuses, and there's one where it like your horse plays a very, very, very prominent role when you're fighting one that flies and also hides in the sand.
Oh, wow.
So it goes into the sand, comes out, flies around. You've got to use the horse to get alongside it and jump onto one of its wings, then climb up the wings and kill it. But, you have to use the horse for that. You could not do it on foot. So it plays such a prominent role that, when it dies, it just hits you that much harder.
Yeah. Which, any game that can give you such an emotional response and makes it that memorable, then I always think they've done something right there. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Like, so right.
Yeah. Like, a lot of games you can play through and you don't have those memorable moments, you just toss them aside. Or some games don't need memorable moments for that, and you still remember them for certain reasons, but I always find that moments like those in games are times that, like, I remember that being a spoiler. There was a moment, this is the most recent one in terms of like losing characters, but in Mass Effect 3 when Thane gets killed, I was rooting for him like a fucking cheerleader. Man. I was going, come on Thane, beat his ass, and he gets killed. I was like, no.
So it's literally you see Kai Lang and you're just like, I'm coming for you, mate. I am coming for you.
Yeah. And then in like the hospital later on, if your friendship with him is high enough, you have that little bit with him and his son and reading the the whole death poem that they've got.
Yeah.
That was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to take a minute.
Yeah, I'm doing a playthrough at the moment because I'm going back through the games doing all Renegade, but I've made my character romance Thane knowing that he's gonna die in number 3 just so I want to see what happens in the extra dialogue. Now, I don't know whether that's mean or not, because I know what's going to happen, but still, I just thought I wanted to do that. So, but it's the same sort of thing, though.
It's like badass.
Yeah.
But you see, the game then flips it as well. The game then completely flips it on its head after you've had the whole last episode where the people who have been coming after you and imposing this time constraint on you have caught up with you and shoot you in the leg with a crossbow and stab you in the chest.
Spoiler warning.
And then you morph into this like big amorphous black Balrog X type shape and like try to kill them, which doesn't end up going well because they end up creating this big like whirlpool vortex thing which sucks you in and you end up dying. Your missus comes back to life, so the big like supposedly evil demon ends up keeping its word and she gets revived anyway. She slides off the altar, walks down the few steps that lead up to the altar, stands there looking around like, why the fuck am I? What's going on? And then you hear just off in the distance, clop, 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 clop. You're like, no. And then like Argo's just limping up the stairs. One of his legs is lame. He's like missing a part of his mane as well. And he's just limping up the stairs into the temple like an absolute boss. And I was like, yeah, my horse is immortal.
The Lord of all horses.
The Lord of horses.
It's so frigging epic. I was like, yes, fuck you, game. Why are you doing this to me?
But the awesome thing, as you say, about the game doesn't have that much story, but the fact it gave you an emotional response like that is something that's really, really awesome in terms of the pacing of the story.
I think if they'd given it too much story, it would have taken away from like the main aspect of it, which is fighting the Colossus. You would have been too distracted by the story. Whereas now they're just like, here's some story. Here's like the world and some construction for it. Go in and make of it what you will. Yeah,
and it gives you the space that you need to make an emotional connection to the only other living thing that you have, which is the horse, obviously, which plays a major prevalent part of the story that it has. I know that there's someone here that if there isn't much story, it doesn't really in terms of like if you have the action adventure game. I know he's not that involved. I know Morgan, like I don't see you as a person that would be that huge into this game, like not having like having like large spans of this game, just like getting to your destination and along these lines. Like, did you ever play? I don't think you ever played Shadow of the Colossus, did you?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, and it's not one of those games that I imagine. Yeah, it's not one of those games that I imagine that you don't. You're not that into. And what's the part of these games that you don't particularly get into then?
I don't know, but when it comes to games, I like a game that, for example, games like Dragon Age, which are heavily role play. I like a lot of decision making in games. So stuff where games kind of like, I don't mind sitting in one place making constant, like, lots of decisions, stuff like that. So I'm not saying I would never play it, but it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of games. I just prefer more kind of story-heavy games. I like a big story in a game.
Yeah, big fat story. That's it.
Yeah,
something you can see, like sink your teeth into, kind of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some people they can like the actual like journey itself is as much a story as they need, and some people it isn't. That's if we're all the same sort of people that like the same things. Then gaming would be a very boring place. But yeah, like it reminds me in terms of like the isolation and the aesthetic and the kind of like the aspect of you're just let on your own, just go and do your task. It's sort of like Dark Souls-y. I know obviously the two games are very much different in terms of gameplay, and obviously Dark Souls is very, very dark in comparison. But like in the terms of like in Dark Souls, you're pretty much like slapped on the arse and told just go in this general direction. You'll figure it out on your own or you'll die. And like a lot of it as well is like you said, like the crippling isolation that in Dark Souls is so prevalent. After a while, you feel very, very alone. Even though there's NPCs you can talk to, that game you feel very lonely. There's no one else on your side apart from you, and it becomes that evident. Is that a lot the same that's on Shadow of Colossus? That like you.
Oh God, yes, it is very much hammered into you're alone, especially when you're riding through these huge, massive environments, and there is not another soul to be seen. The only other like living creatures you can see are like eagles and lizards. There is nothing else.
To this game, it's like when you're riding through. Is there stuff to do when you're?
Well, yeah.
Or is it literally you just go to the place, kill the Colossus, go find another one?
Well, no. What happens? Well, every time you kill a Colossus, you get like transported back to the temple. You'll get another conversation with the big overlord boss thing, which will tell you, you need to hurry the fuck up because there's people catching up to you. He'll give you a clue as to around about where the next one is. So he'll give you he'll give you a very a haiku-esque poem, which like will include details on where it is. And then you'll go outside and you'll be like, right, okay, put my sword up in the air. Okay, it's over that way. Okay, I've got to go over there. Jump on the horse, ride that way. And then when you get to like quite close to it, it doesn't take that long to get in the general area, but it's not like you're riding from A to B in a straight line. You've got to like find ways around it, so you've got to pay attention to the environment. You can't just sit there and it's like riding, more riding, more.
It's a journey, but it's not a simple journey, sort of thing.
Yeah. You've got to pay attention to where you are, otherwise you will get lost. You will get yourself turned around. That's the only thing that I would call a gripe in the game. Is it's quite easy to get lost if you're not paying attention to it.
I like it. That's like when it comes to, I like a game where you can get lost, but it kind of seems to me is that you can get lost, but I like a game like in Skyrim, you get lost, but there's new things to do.
Like you can get lost and suddenly like a quest sprouts up out of nowhere, sort of thing.
There are like a couple of little extras. You get like what was it? You get something like you get like another like cloak or something if you like collect like 150 like tails off of lizards, which is a bit time consuming. Or if you find an eagle and you can time jumping off your horse just right, you can latch onto the eagle and fly around.
What? So wait, the eagle can hold your weight? That's pretty awesome.
Apparently the eagle can hold your weight because it's a magic eagle, but
eagle on roids.
I only managed to do it once and I immediately fell off because I thought I missed.
Oh, that's the worst.
It took me so long.
Lord of the Rings.
The epic eagles, yeah.
Yeah, it's not even a big eagle. It's like a normal-sized eagle. And you're just like, how? What? I've seen people do it on YouTube, and it annoyed me because they just like flew around for ages on it. And if you've got the patience for it as well, and you get the cheap pack, so you've got unlimited stamina and unlimited grip, because you do actually have a stamina gauge on this, which makes it even more tricky fighting the Colossuses, because once you get on them, they're not going to stand still and let you kill them. They try and shake you off. They try and throw you off. And so you've got only a limited amount of time to get somewhere on them where you can let go of them, let your stamina bar refill, climb back up them again, get somewhere else where you can just stand still for 5 seconds and let your stamina regen, and then get to where their weak spot is and stab them, because you can't just stab these fuckers anywhere. They've only got one weak point. Some of them have got more depending on their size. The bigger ones usually have a weak point you stab, so that you can then access the main weak point and stab them with that.
Yeah, so basically you're stabbing the balls before you get to the dick, sort of thing.
Exactly, that kind of thing. Yeah.
In a manner of speaking, it's crass. And
the last boss has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 weak spots, and you've got to do them all in order, otherwise you're dead. Because you've got to climb up its big skirt, because for some reason the last one's wearing a big stone skirt. You've got to climb up its skirt, stab it in the back so that it brings its hand around to its back, stab it on the back of the hand so it brings its hand back round to the front. Then you've got to jump from one hand onto its arm, stab it in that arm so that it brings the hand back around, the other hand back around again, run up that arm onto its back, stab it in the back so that it bends over, then run onto its head and try and stab it in the head before it shakes you off.
So you're basically I imagine the gameplay is like you're a little bit of a termite on a giant thing, and you're basically trying to just annoy it enough that it finally drops down and dies.
Out of frustration.
Out of frustration, yeah, trying to whack you and get you off.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And that's another thing that the game does very well. It gives such a good sense of scale. Just how big these fuckers are compared to you. You are a ant compared to like the relative size is like what probably I'd imagine a stick insect to like someone like Shaq or Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Sort of like that. And they do that very well, but that doesn't kick in really until you face the second Colossus. The first one you face is it's just one on 4 legs, and you're on your horse for most of it. So while it's big, you don't really see it as being that epic. Yeah. But when you see the second Colossus, it's the first one you have to face on foot, and it's the first bipedal one.
Oh, I see. One humanoid looking sort of thing.
It's the first humanoid looking one. And bearing in mind that your head barely doesn't even reach up to its ankle when you're standing next to it, it gives you a good sense that you're alone against this thing.
Yeah, no one's going to help you. You've got to deal with it.
Ruminate on that for a bit.
Well, I know, as you said there, one of them's looking, you're a stick insect and Shaquille O'Neal. You can expect the Shaquille O'Neal Shadow of the Colossus DLC to be released this year.
Yes.
Can you imagine that? Andre the Giant just running around, and you've got to grapple him and give him a body slam,
Pay a copious amount of money to fight a Colossus Andre the Giant.
Yeah. And see, the thing is, what they do very well in this game as well is they make good use of their programming and the imagination of their programmers. In the fact that all of the Colossi, while some of them might look similar, they're all very different, and you cannot defeat all of them
using the same way.
You can't defeat 2 in the same way. Well, there are a couple that look similar. I will grant them. They're they're about the same size. I mean, there's a couple of smaller ones which are fucking scary because they're really quick. There's a couple of them that are quite small and look fairly dog-like, but you can't defeat both of them in the same way. They each have a specific way you have to defeat them, and that's not just finding their weak point and jumping on them at the right moment. Quite a lot of the later ones, you have to use the environment against them.
Yeah.
Which is also quite tricky as well, because you'll get no hint on how to do that. You've got to figure all that shit out yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is also quite good. It forces you to think creatively because you've got to go, right, I've got to get up there, but I can't get up there. And even if I get up there, he's got armor across his weak spot. How do I get rid of that armor? Oh, look, an overhanging bridge. Okay, can I distract him enough so that he'll smash into that? I reckon I could do it. I've got a bow. I can just distract him. Because like some of them won't actually attack you off the bat, whereas some will. Some will just go straight for you off the bat. Some of them will just like stomp around minding their own business until you piss them off.
Yeah, and then they're going to get rid of you, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really freaky when they do that, or it is the first time you see one of them do it, because the first few just attack you straight off the bat, whereas one of them, like one of the big bipedal ones, just stomp around, mind its own business, and then you fire an arrow at it, and it just goes.
Oh, it's just the noises and
yeah, and it just kind of like stops in an instant. Dust falls off it. They've got that very well done. That was a really good effect for the time it was released. Actually, it just stops. Dust drifts off it for a second. It just like turns its head and its eyes flash orange.
Oh dear!
It's like, oh shit! Now I've done.
Oh, good. So is there anything in general that you want to chat about more about Shadow of the Colossus or?
I will say actually, like this game did win a lot of awards.
It did.
I looked on the wiki page earlier, and it's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. At least 24 awards since it's been released. And was it IGN, one of the bigger like gaming review people? They named Shadow of the Colossus not only the best game of 2005. But the second best game of the decade, just behind Half-Life 2.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Wow, so it's got quite, as we said, it's got a critical acclaim, I think is probably the word to say on it.
Yeah.
And the fans
they gave that review in 2012 as well, so that was only 2 years ago they said that.
Yeah. Which, I mean, the game must have aged very, very well if that is the case. What Complex Magazine, whoever the fuck they are, they said Shadow of the Colossus was the second best PS2 game of all time, behind God of War 2. But I would argue Shadow of the Colossus should be put in front of God of War 2 because it was completely unique and it's not a sequel. Well, I was about to ask you actually just quickly before we move on. I've actually played Ico, so I played Ico, but I never actually got around to playing Shadow of the Colossus. Is there no links to the two worlds?
There are, yes.
Okay.
Ico is they weren't originally going to link them together. They were going to do a complete sequel to Ico, but then they decided to go on a different route with it.
Yeah.
But they have included elements of Ico in it because they're saying for the feel of the game, it's a sequel, but for the setup and the story, it is in essence a prequel.
Oh,
because
okay.
of the way the game ends. Obviously, the game ends with you, somehow morphed into a baby with little tiny horns, and obviously, Ico's got little tiny horns, so they've just called it a prequel. So it does tie in, and if you've played Ico, and this is another thing I wish other games would do more often, if you've got a save file of Ico on your PS2, you'll get the Ico icon on, your horse's forehead.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool. I was like, oh, that's really good. That's a nice tie into the first game.
Yeah. And Ico was I think Shadow Colossus was much more, it made a lot more money for them because Ico didn't. It was like a sleeper hit. Like, people didn't really get into Ico.
Yeah,
but it was
Ico's been a cult hit, but Shadow of the Colossus is what made it.
Yeah. And they've done a lot of good business. It's just, it was a shame they never actually done anything with the franchise going forward because I know it was very... It was well met. I know they didn't make obviously huge amounts of money like some other games, maybe like God of War as you said, but it didn't do bad by any means. I think it did.
I mean,
I
was thinking earlier, it's like as a thing to talk about. Would I like to see a sequel? Honestly, I wouldn't. I wouldn't like to see a sequel. What I would like to see is Shadow of the Colossus taken up to next gen level.
Yeah.
Given like Battlefield 4
so
graphics.
Instead of a sequel, you want a brand new remake.
Yeah. I want a remake, but keeping in with the game that it is, capturing the same element of the game, but giving it like next gen, like physics and graphics and stuff.
So basically, a HD remastering.
Yeah, instead of a remake.
But not like a rubbish like just touching up the game with HD and
kind of like Resident Evil remastered, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
PlayStation 1,
what
2
basically what
places
everyone
for
wants.
basic graphics.
What everyone wants for Final Fantasy VII, essentially.
Yes, pretty much.
What they promised for Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, they never give it to us, damn them.
Right.
But,
I know we've been talking about this for a while, so just before we move on,
Yep.
something that nearly made me die of a nerdgasm. There's talk of a film adaptation.
What, for Shadow of the Colossus?
There is.
Oh, I'd buy into that, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. It's going to be the director of the Chronicle, John Track.
Okay.
So the guy who directed the Chronicle.
Chronicle. That just sounds like a really bad Tron sequel.
Yeah. Chronicle. But yeah, he's in. It's in the pipeline that he might be directing it, and it's Seth Lockheed will be writing it. But there's no actual release date or kind of cast as of yet. I think it's still very, 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 very much in alpha at the moment. But
a lot of these movies do, and then like they just need a big push for them to get pushed through. Sometimes they get stuck in limbo for a while.
Yeah, I would love that. That sounds so good. Just like to see these Colossus just like on the big screen, just like fuck, that guy's big.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it though, because there's 16 of these fuckers. That would be a long film.
They would probably shorten it down. They'd probably add a lot more story elements than have to. But still, it's something I'd be interested in watching regardless, because the whole premise is exciting. So,
Shadow of the Colossus, KITN approved. Go out and buy it right now.
Yeah.
Even if you have to go out and buy a PS2, just get one off of eBay.
like you say, but as you said there, as it's available, they did do a re-release on the PS3. So anyone's got a PS3, they can buy it off there. So there you are. That's cool. And I know that actually when they released Shadow Colossus, they did a double pack with Ico for the PS2. I don't know, they're probably quite rare now, but I know that they were around. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've still got my collector's edition that I bought for the for Shadow of the Colossus when I first brought it. I have still got that. It is the one game I have held on to for like 10 years. I never even thought of selling it just because the artwork for it is so good as well. And actually, like I know I keep going on, but it's actually the one game that I have actually sat through the whole credit sequence for. Usually when you get to a credit sequence of the game, you just go, fuck this shit, skip.
Yeah,
but
get straight through, yeah.
The artwork they've done for the end of the game and the whole end sequence itself is so well done. You just end up sitting looking through it because you get like kind of like panoramic shots of the defeated Colossi, but it's obviously been a while since you've defeated these things because some of them have got trees growing on them. They're half buried in the sand, and they're all done like very nicely stylistically. They're done with like some have got sepia tone graphic to it. Some have got they've got like slightly boosted colors to give it like a really nice effect. And it just looks so nice. It's just such a beautiful game.
A nice way to reflect on your quest of doing it and going along there. So.
It's like, shit, I did that. Yeah. I did that as well. That guy was a punk.
Talking of questing, are we done there? Are we done there, Chris? Have we covered everything?
Yes, otherwise I'm just going to keep going on for hours.
we better move on for the sake of things, yeah.
Just go.
So yeah, talking about games with, well, we go from one spectrum, a game that doesn't have much of a story, to one that is absolutely brimming with it, and if it didn't have a story, it would be pretty much useless. The Walking Dead, we're going to be covering Season 1. Tom is going to be covering this, because we are on Season 2 now. And this is a game that I have played a lot. I'm big into this game. Whenever any of them get released, I instantly get it. Even though there's a little bit of story about the classification stuff in Ireland, but I'll talk about at the end. So Tom, take us away. Talk to us about Telltale Games, The Walking Dead.
Oh my god, how can you even talk about The Walking Dead Season 1? It's just beautiful. It's amazing. It's just it's so
in one way of saying, yeah.
It's this what I'm going to say is just essentially going to dissolve into it's so amazing. Okay, what I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to talk about the game itself in the first half, and the second half I'm going to be talking about what happens. So, if you haven't played this game, if you've been living in a cave on Mars for the last how many years it's been out, go buy it, play it, everything of it. Stop this podcast right now, buy it, play it, complete it, then come back.
There's actually literally no excuse because they often give the first episode away for free on some sites.
I've not played it. So, I've watched it, I haven't played it.
Yeah, but you watched it. That's fine. That's fine.
But you watched it, that's fine. But let's say
you can actually get it on Kindle as well, and tablets and phones.
Oh really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, we're going to be talking about the first episode, but the rest of it we're going to talk about in the second half, which is going to be heavily spoiler laden. So Tony will put up a warning for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the game now then. This game itself has actually won 90 Game of the Year awards in June 2013. So, and it's been higher. It's been one of the highest, most successful games on Xbox Live Arcade and the PlayStation Network.
By far.
So the game, as I'm sure everyone but their grandmother knows, is described here as an episodic interactive drama graphic adventure. People can just say it's not a game itself, but maybe an interactive book or an interactive movie.
It's a point and click.
But it's a point and click adventure. It's a series that's been going down since the early 90s.
Since it's progressed, since it started, it's got more puzzly and more point and clicky. But at the very beginning, it is very sort of conversational based, and that's roughly
very
about
simple.
it.
Very simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's based on Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead comic series. Praise be unto it, and it consists of 5 episodes. It takes place in the same fictional world as the comic, not the TV series. I'm not going to even talk about that.
Thank God.
And events occurring shortly after the onset of the zombie apocalypse in Georgia. It keeps away from the comic book series. The only original character you see is Glenn, who only appears in the first episode.
Love Glenn.
Gotta love Glenn.
Yeah.
I thought what's her name was in the comic as well. That military woman.
No, she's not.
Isn't she not in the comic?
No.
I must have read that wrong. Then.
Point of interest. This is actually going to flash spoiler here for a second. I don't know because there's 2 Lilies in the Walking Dead universe. I don't know if she's the one.
I don't think she is that one though. I'm not. I can't obviously say for sure, but I'm pretty sure that that she isn't actually a part of it. I'm
Okay.
Can't be quoted obviously because I'm not.
If you read the issue where the governor takes the prison and they shoot Laurie. And
Spoiler.
Spoiler warning.
There's already a spoiler message on there. It's okay. It's okay.
She gets shot, and literally this woman says, "Oh my god, I can't believe I shot a baby!" And the governor turns and said, "What the fuck are you talking about, Lily?"
Yeah.
So it drops the name Lily. So I don't know if it's another Lily or the same Lily or what, but
There is a book called Lily's Adventures or something like that.
but that's a totally different Lily. So
Yeah.
up to debate.
Yeah.
I'll let the listening public decide.
Yes.
Where was I? All right, yeah. So yeah, Kirkman provided the oversight for the game story to ensure the correspondence to the tone of the comic. He worked very closely with Telltale Games. Oh, I'm just going to keep gushing. This is just amazing. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. He wasn't. Robert Kirkman actually wasn't impressed with the first demonstration or first episode he saw, and they had to redo it. And he worked very closely with long-term plans to get the characters nailed. And Telltale's actually borrowed a lot of ideas from Game of Thrones, of all things, and Mad Men in terms of how to develop characters in a short space of time. But by the time they presented it with the near final builds, Kirkman told Telltale team, and I quote, "Holy shit, guys, you did it."
They did.
According to
They
the code,
knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, so I probably should mention Telltale Games, developed and published by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, like, basically the untold gods of story-driven adventures. Now they're pretty much like the go-to people after The Walking Dead. So
They really are. They really are. So it's a game-driven choice, and I've never had a game where it honestly reflects my choices and my influences on a game. You see the odd one pull it off to near success, but this one is the only one where I've actually felt like my consequence, everything I do, has a weight to what I say or what I do. And it's the writing, how they do characters. I will say now, Clementine is hands down, without a doubt, the best child character in all media ever.
yeah, she's very well written. I find myself, because like for people who don't know, I have 2 daughters, so when I play this game it's like extra like vivid for me. I always count her as like my virtual daughter now after how impactful this could get. Yeah, and it always shocked me that Clementine's voice actress, like when you learn that her voice actress is actually like 30, and it's like, what? It's very, very talented voice actress that could actually
She really is.
get that going. But yeah, you saying?
It's just, I could talk. It's just.
Any
clue.
I could talk, but
I could talk, but my nerdgasm is too great.
Yes, that's it.
Because there's so many ways you. Because when some people write child characters, they're just That's it. They're literally just children.
Yeah, and that's the only dimension of
they're
them.
Plot devices. They're means of carrying on the story, a means of motivation. I mean, Heavy Rain, a child gets kidnapped. You've got to rescue the child. I can't tell you anything more than the fact that a child is involved.
Yeah,
I don't know their names. I don't know their motives. I don't know what they want. But Clementine, she
has character.
She has such a beautiful character. She's humble. She's modest. She knows what's going on. She's not a burden. She's vulnerable, but she's not a liability.
Yeah, they've struck a really thin line. She was that good of a character that when the thing eventually finishes, as we said, major spoilers, that in season 2, that it just seemed like natural that we were going to take over as her and be her guardian, but not in terms of like a character, but we're playing as her.
Yeah.
But like, you could do that like if I had to play as like this, it's like. And it's not like an escort quest when you're looking after Clementine. Like this isn't a game that's like that. But if I had to play as like anything along those lines, I wouldn't really want to play as like the president's daughter in Resident Evil 4. Why would I want to play an entire campaign around her?
Girl.
You know what I mean? But like with Clementine, it was like I'm ready. Like this is the natural progression of the story, and she. And it felt right to have her as the protagonist of the second season. But we're not talking about the second season, really.
Yeah.
Personally,
Clementine, she's established straight off. She's capable. She's been surviving however long in her treehouse.
3 days.
Was it 3 days?
Yeah.
3 days in a treehouse while lurkers were going everywhere, yamming everything that breathed. And when you're in trouble, you're getting mauled by her zombie babysitter. She comes out of nowhere, hands you a hammer, and it's just like, yes,
yeah.
This is how to do a character. This is how to do a child. This is someone I can go with on an adventure.
It is so ironic that in the entire season 1, where you're prepping her and you're getting her ready for survival, you're saving her, that she's the actual first person that saves you in that game. That it's when you look at the overall theme of that. Of the whole game and the whole story, that no one ever comes to Lee's aid at the very beginning apart from Clementine, and that's really important that she's the first person there, and then you spend the rest of the time obviously getting her ready as a character to do that. So when you look back at it and you play it again from what we know now in terms of a story, that's really poignant in my opinion anyway.
I mean, for me, they did it.
Yeah, go on, Chris.
For me, they did it quite well because it's nice when a game is so good it can bring a certain genre back from the dead.
Yeah.
I mean, point and click adventures, pretty much.
Pardon the pun there, Chris.
You could say maybe from the Walking. No, that's
zombie pun.
Yeah, there we go. You get it. There we go.
I caught up eventually, but point and click adventures were pretty much gone, and there hadn't been any decent ones out for a while. And then Telltale Games just gone, oh yeah, by the way, Slide.
Yeah,
but that and that everything else.
I think with The Walking Dead and the Telltale kind of, with their success has been from that. That's how they have made. If you want to talk about the gaming industry as it's a business, that's how Telltale have done so well. They've made so much money. It's because they took a risk on a game style that's basically dead.
Yeah.
When was the last time you played a point and click a game before Walking Dead?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
And then then when you think of, like, if we go back to the beginning of the episode where we're talking about Homefront and how that company's going under, it's clearly that it's not a problem with the gaming industry. It's that the gaming industry is getting stale and needs more kind of creative thought.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
That's the problem. So like it's props to Telltale for taking that risk, I think.
Yeah. I mean, because it was a risk. If this hadn't worked, they would have gone under.
Yeah. In fact, they were actually in trouble because they released a bunch of CSI games, which were really badly received.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know they did them.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. But they weren't getting a lot of money from them, not only that as well, I think it's because they were getting a bad reputation of pumping these CSI games out, and they weren't very, very good. And then obviously they bring this out, and suddenly it's like, whoa, where did that came from? And there's massive explosion now.
Have faith in us, we can do good shit.
Just give us something that we can call our own. I think that maybe with the CSI stuff, though, maybe it was something to get them through and get a paycheck. And when they've actually got a passion project like this, it really shows because they went all out and they performed so well in the in terms of the story aspect of this. And as you say there, Tom, like when they were actually working alongside the creator of the original comics, they really couldn't get like they also could get it wrong, but they were going to get told, okay, that is wrong. You need to rechange it, as you said. That actually happened.
Yeah, or that character wouldn't have
this game, as Robert Kirkman wanted. He didn't want to focus on jumping over obstacles, shooting zombies in the face, expending ammo. He wanted to focus on the characters. He wanted to focus on the journey, the development. He wanted to focus on the people, not the zombies.
Yeah. And like I think the game gets over like a very good theme of like in general in season 1 it gets over like a very very early on, like season 1 the episode 1 not so much, but as the episodes roll on you realize that like the zombies are like a big issue in the story, but not nearly as much as the other humans that you encounter. They're almost like the bigger thorn in your side, which I think there's one thing that in general in The Walking Dead I really like, that the walkers are like a huge issue, but like if you come across another human then they're going to be vying for everything that you have, and they become an even worse threat. And in Walking Dead, that's like exactly. There's so many times that you meet someone and you get the option where sometimes you actually get the option in dialogue to trust them or not, and you may be wrong. You may make the wrong decision. You may distrust someone that's very trustworthy, and you may trust someone that's completely against what you want, and he's just getting into your camp and stuff like this. And there is characters like that.
Episode 2 is a prime example of that.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, it is.
The story
It makes me
itself-
thankful I'm not eating my dinner at the moment, but carry on, Hayley.
Sorry, I was just saying that I think it's more a story of morality and less a story of zombies itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It's just the zombies are the backdrop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The
it's
zombies are the catalyst that
the
kind of
setting.
the story's built
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Very good, yeah.
It's the rocket fuel that sends all these characters into overdrive for
Yeah.
the moments that
Yeah.
they're in.
So I didn't find myself acting because of zombies. Again, it's purely Clementine. Everything you see the corner of the screen, Clementine will remember this.
Yeah.
I think the bigger motivation to me than anything else, because I found myself really consciously thinking, what would Clementine do?
You care what she thinks of you.
Yeah.
So Tom,
She
spoiler alert,
matters.
it's a question for you, Tom. How did you? I want to know what your instant reaction was when you're in the RV and you have the dream.
Oh,
We had the what?
What?
The dream.
dream.
the dream.
And
dream.
it's you're on the RV, everything seemed fine. Clementine's sleeping, and then bam, she's a zombie.
Slowly.
Hmm.
And then suddenly, bam!
And
Zombie Clementine.
Yeah. It is shocking.
Denial.
yeah, I remember when I watched it, and like I hadn't even played it, but I'd watched a Let's Play of it,
Yeah.
and you're taking them back because you don't expect it, and it's kind of wow, it makes you jump, but it's also like no, not Clementine, not anyone but her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That fucking RV is cursed, by the way. I don't care what anyone says. All the shit that happens inside.
Oh, going back to that moment, what was everyone's reaction when Lily shot Carly? Because let's be honest, we all chose Carly over Doug.
Yeah. Yeah. There's probably one low guy out there who's like, I chose Doug. Yeah.
Well, fair enough, but
It's
in my
like I
defense,
was
the
reading.
reason why I chose Carly was because I thought I could save both at the same time. I was literally just going,
Yeah.
I wanted to grab the purse, throw it at Carly, then rush over to Doug and save him. But
You can't. That's not how life is, Tom.
No.
But,
I know!
the best bit.
I had the
like,
intention.
I was because they clearly like Telltale like everyone's going to choose Carly, so the story was put into Carly. But like this, like I was reading online, like the whole thing with Doug. Like if you choose Doug, it's just like, and then Lily accidentally shoots him.
Oh, really? So, yeah.
It's like
She's going to shoot Ben, and Doug takes a bullet for Ben.
Spoils it.
yeah, something like that.
No,
So, has anyone watched a YouTube video of people's reactions?
Oh, yes.
It's all like,
It's so
hell
good.
no!
it's literally, I think the thing is literally just holy shit or what the fuck over and over and
I,
over
I
again.
very rarely get like shock slapped by a game. That game, I was like, what? Wait a minute. I was like telling the game, calm down, like stop. I need to figure this out. And then it gives you a decision straight afterwards. You have no time. You have to digest what happened, and you have to figure out. Which for me was incredibly easy, which was just throw the bitch off the fucking RV.
Yeah.
Dude, I was throwing her under the RV.
Yeah, I had wanted the option to do that myself, to be honest.
And it was just wonderful because she thought she had this wonderful bit of dirt on you, and she was just like, "You're worried about taking murderers? What about Lee?" And Kenny just turned around and said, "I don't care what Lee's done." And she's like, "You knew?" And he's like, "Yeah." He told all of us.
Uh-oh.
Bitch.
Well, saying that, the Let's Play I watched, the player didn't tell anyone, so they just literally. That was a strange scenario when obviously they was like, "What about murderers? What about Lee?" They're like, "What?" And literally everyone was like, "What do you mean?"
Oh shit.
Because I liked Kenny. I bonded with Kenny.
Yeah, I did.
Kenny's a chill dude. And,
well,
it matters how you speak to him.
Yeah.
You can go a bit mental.
Salt lick.
Salt lick. What did everyone do? I want to know. What did you do when Larry was dying of a heart attack in the meat freezer?
Well, I know what I would have done.
Yeah, I would have killed him.
Yeah.
I would have banged his head.
I'm sorry, but
I
that's
had dealing with no zombie.
just the reality of the situation. He needs to die.
Yeah.
And I would have killed Lily.
First time, I've got to admit, I did side with Lily because I thought, no, we need as many people as we can. I was trying to save him, literally.
He was dying.
Out of nowhere, Salt Lake, where his face was, and I'm just like. Well,
that's
that
another
shouldn't have
moment
happened.
you just don't see coming. Like, you know that, okay, you know, like Kenny wants to bash his head in, but you think it's going to be just a quick boot to the head, he's gone. You do not expect his head to get exploded by a fucking...
Yeah.
You do not, and he's like, what?
You've all seen that Game of Thrones episode. So.
Yeah.
It's just like literally just pumping his heart, trying to restart this man's life. Salt Lake out of nowhere, and then literally, salt's bad for you. That's the achievement. You just can't process it. Your brain's just like...
Salt is not good for a diet.
Yeah. Especially in that much of abundance, shall we say.
Yeah. Too much salt will make you explode.
Yeah.
But, no, but then, like... Sorry.
Some of these things happening, though, and your lack of time to process, or your lack of time... Because you're quickly given another choice, aren't you?
Yeah.
You aren't given time to process, and so that makes it all the more realistic in the way, or at least suspending your disbelief and placing you in this situation.
Yeah, I agree.
But on this other playthroughs, I did manage to convince myself to see it from Kenny's side, and I understand the logic. Because if a man's dying of a heart attack, and he's a big man, Larry, the bastard.
Yeah. And there's no love lost for that character at that point as well. That's the test, isn't it? Like,
But it's also like... There's a problem. It's obviously the problem is if that was anyone else, Lily would have killed them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's a point, actually. I never considered that.
If you think about it, literally, Lily's if it was anyone else,
Yeah.
she turned on Carly like that. She shot Carly in the head.
Yeah.
She turned on
like-
Duck when he came straight in.
Yeah, exactly. So think about it that way. Yeah, it's not nice because it's someone's. He wasn't dead. He could have survived.
Yeah.
But when you're
She shouldn't have
suffering,
turned on Duck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's I like think about it that way. It's like she would have if it was Kenny having a heart attack, she would have dropped the salt lick on his head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and without a moment's notice, she would have been
Exactly.
absolutely
Because she's rational. She understood what needed to be done. It was because it was her father. And obviously that's the whole moral decision. But then when you're trying to survive a zombie apocalypse, family.
Yeah. That's the whole point of The Walking Dead, isn't it? It's when you get put in those uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
How do certain characters deal with that in comparison to other characters? Whereas you think that, ironically, when Kenny has that situation with his own son, I know it's a little bit more sort of straightforward because he knows he's going to turn. Like, he knows what needs to be done. He doesn't like it, but he has to do it regardless, which is ironic when you look at the two characters, how they both deal with being put under that same sort of situation, when you think it'd actually be the other way around, but it isn't,
exactly.
sort of thing. And that is quite true to life, because some people do act differently than what they would normally when pressed into that situation. I'll tell you what, though, guys, this is quite an indication, right? I don't want to, because we're talking about bits out of this game, and I love talking about bits of what other people did.
Jumping all over the place.
No, that's fine. No, it's awesome. But like when it gets to the end, the very end. I mean, I don't want this to be the end of the conversation, obviously, unless it is for whatever. But I just want to know what people did. Did you let Clementine shoot you, or did you just let her go?
I let her go, man. I wasn't going to do that to her.
I played it, but I would have let her go.
I let her go, and the reason being is because she needed the bullet for her gun. She needed more chances to survive. That was my issue with it. That she needed the bullet. What about you, Chris?
Looking at her, and I just think, I can't make you do this to me.
Yeah.
I would hate to be reanimated, but I'm not going to make you do that.
Yeah.
I've shed blood, sweat, and tears for you, Clemmy Clue, and I would not.
Very clue.
Yeah, we're like that, man.
Well, I also would have said to her, like, don't shoot me. You need the ammo, but get the fuck away from me because I'm going to turn. Make sure you get far enough away from me. You then don't have to kill me because I'm catching up.
Yeah. But then it's also you could think about it that way. Like maybe you should get her to kill you because then that's the harsh reality of life. Is that you have to be willing to shoot anyone and who.
That's the question, though.
But that's the question.
Yeah.
Do you want to preserve that? Do you want to protect that little bit of innocence she has left at the expense of her?
Sorry.
And then by season 2 starts, you realise there's no innocence left.
No, there is no innocence left, really.
But at the time, I do understand.
I was trying to get her to get back to Omid and Krista. because those are the only two people I knew I could trust with.
Do you at the very end? Do you think that's Amy and Krista?
No, I didn't. I thought it was someone else. I thought it was actually someone else. But obviously,
Who do you think it was?
I just thought it might be people trying to find other people, and then that's going to lead into season 2 with her finding other people that are going to betray her. That's what I thought it was going to be.
It was Owen and Krista because it made sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt very paranoid at that point, I guess, in terms of people.
First time I played it, I probably did as well.
Yeah.
Okay, be honest. How much did you cry?
Oh, I was very emotional at the end of that. That was very...
0 tears.
0 tears, but I was very emotional.
Heartless bastard.
I love it till deadpan. You said that as well, like 0 tears. But
I had no investment with this whatsoever.
We often joke about Morgan if he ever has a kid and it walks into his studies, he's going to be like, it's in here again. Remove it from the room, please.
Child, where'd you keep your nest?
Yeah, I always find that bit really interesting to see what people say. Because some people are like, yeah, I need to be shocked because then she's like closing the book on that stage of her life and starting a new one. There's different reasons why people do the same different decisions, which I really like hearing from people. But man, I tell you what, no, there's been a few games that have hit me, but none as hard as that Carly shot that we were talking about earlier.
No.
Man.
Oh yeah,
Jesus, just.
What about when Doug was unbitten? I have to admit, in the first 2 episodes, I couldn't care too much about Doug one other way, but then literally just started just like man.
Yeah. I know, I get it. Like,
I think when it comes to Carly and Doug, I think Telltale kind of made the decision. We need to decide who our target audience is going to be, and our target audience is going to be boys.
Yeah, they're going to be primarily the ones. I don't also think as well that they obviously with having a male character that you play as at the start as well. You know that some of them are going to be looking for the romantic thing anyway, so they suckered people into thinking that. Which was clever of them. Whenever games do that and they suck you in, I feel that's very clever in regards to that.
Yeah.
So, just to elaborate on The Walking Dead and in general, there is a hugely story-based game.
As is evidence.
Yeah, as is evidence. But one of the things that I do like about it is that it seemed like the actual as the episodes roll on, because obviously they didn't release them all together. They did one episode and then a couple of sometimes like a month or two later the next episode. So it seemed like they grew in confidence as it went on. They were doing more and more stuff. The episodes were getting longer. There was more point and click elements. Do you, like when covering this game, looking back on it, Tom, would you say that like you could see that almost like them growing as like a development team, like the more that the first season rolled on?
Absolutely. I mean, in the first 2 episodes, it's like first one, lovely and simple, goes straight from A to B. Second one, a little bit of a more of a stronger moral dilemma. And come number 3, I was just on an emotional roller coaster. So many people just killed off left, right, and center, and people I actually cared about, people I got to know. And it's just,
yeah, yeah. It does array and give you like a large section of cast. And one of the great things about it is that while it gives you a large cast, the people that are closest to you and part in your group, you really learn a lot about them. So when the big stuff happens to them, it's very impactful. And it's one of the things that looking at season 2, and season 2 hasn't finished yet, so I don't know how to pass it too much. But because they've given you like a new group. I always find that I'm more connected to the first group. Maybe that's because I've just completed it all the way through. I know the story first all along. And maybe because Clementine's not actually looking after anyone, she's looking after herself. But yeah, season 1, like a lot of the characters there, you're going to remember, and like sometimes like the ones that you think are going to survive don't end up surviving. I think it sucker punches you, it lures you in, sucker punches you over and over again. But never to the point that you're like, this is like overly cruel. You just get into the world and like this is genuinely what these guys have to deal with and what I have to deal with as a player. So
it's I don't think anyone comprehends that. They know in the back of their head someone's going to die, but they don't expect it to happen. They don't. It still shocks them.
Which is,
I was thinking of all these people, Doug's probably the first to go, but then suddenly it happens. I'm just like, oh no, not Doug, not Doug. I love Doug.
Like, massive spoiler. I don't want to kind of, so if you haven't played the game at this point, don't listen to this.
I'm just going to put like a permanent label on it.
Because this is kind of like, I didn't expect Lee to be bitten.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because he's the main character. It's like you play a main character, you expect them to be playing them forever.
Yeah.
I think that was the second biggest shock.
Yeah, I think that was what shocked. That's one of the things that shocked me the most.
Yeah. And the very idea that you can choose whether to show it to everyone or not, it gives you like that extra bit. Did you guys show it to your team?
Straight up, just like, guys.
I did. And I sawed the arm off for anyone that's worth it.
So did I.
Yeah.
In the Let's Play that I watched, they got the others to do it. They got Krista to cut it off.
Oh, I got other people to cut it off, but I chose to get it cut off.
Oh yeah.
I trusted Krista to cut my arm off. Love Kenny, but I wouldn't trust him with a saw.
No, I trusted Kenny. I don't know why.
And I think at that point in the Let's Play I was watching, like, the trust between Kenny and Lee was really low because they made some choices against Kenny and he hadn't told Kenny certain things, so I was probably like worried that Kenny was going to turn out and cut his head off. So yeah.
We need to put you out of your misery. Lee just does it across your throat rather than on your arms or something. Yeah. It's interesting. I always find that those stories, and I love the way that they do it at the end of each episode, they show you the percentages of people that picked each one. Because one of the great things about The Walking Dead, some people may be listening who maybe never played, in which case you really shouldn't have clicked this because you just know all the story spoilers. But
thinking.
But like all the decisions, there's no particularly bad. Yeah, no, there's no wrong or right decision. Each of them both have right and wrong in them, and everything.
Interpretation.
You're choosing the lesser of two evils, basically.
Yeah, what you deem that to be, and it could be either. And I think they really struck a good chord there because you could easily have made a game where it's like, oh, I just want to be a dick on the entire playthrough, which is a lot of the sometimes like I started a series on my channel which was being a dick in Star Wars: The Old Republic, and you know some of the choices you're doing there, you're just doing them just to be a dick, but like in games like this, there is no clear-cut choice, and you just got to go with what you think is right, and whether it's right or not, you'll find out later on.
And it's also, it kind of ties into fact, is like, you don't know how the people who you're with are going to react. Like in Dragon Age, for example, you know there's the people that are bad and there's the people that are good in your party.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's all based on like their approval.
Yeah.
But in this, it's clearly you could say one thing and Kenny will agree with you once, but then you say something similar in another situation, Kenny won't agree with you.
Yeah.
So it's that's a really good aspect of the game, is that it's true, you don't know how humans react to everything. So
yeah. And as we said earlier on, like some people when they're pressed will act differently to what their actual general personalities are like, and it reflects that very well. A game like this with a bad story and bad characters would just fail monumentally. And
I don't think it would even go past the second episode.
No, it wouldn't have. Their business model, actually, just want to add about that business model. But the whole episodic business model is really good. I really enjoy that because being able to, like, for instance, like, it basically gives you a chance of getting into the game, and if you're not into the story, that's fine. You don't have to purchase the extra episodes, which I think is... I don't think many people have thought, oh, I played like 2 episodes of this, oh, I'm not really hooked into the story. You know, at that point, I think people are mostly hooked. But it's a really fair business model because you can buy as much as you think you like, and then if you're really into it, like we are, then we're first day purchases of when the episodes come out. But if you're not, then you know you can play up to what you like, and then that way you're not purchasing the whole entire game, which you can do as well. But I think it's a really fair business model.
But then it's also clever by Telltale because it's the way they keep the momentum of their story going. Is if they release it all at once, people will play it and it'll be done, and then they'll forget about it.
Yeah, out of memory. And
but then you keep it, like if it's going over a few months, people keep talking about it, you're going to get more reviews. So it's keeping the name Telltale going.
Yeah. It was very smart by them, and they've adopted that same business style with all the other stuff they do, because obviously they've done The Wolf Among Us. They are doing a Game of Thrones one as well.
I've heard them doing that.
Yeah. That's already been announced that they're going to be doing it, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, Wolf Among Us is pretty good as well. Actually, I've done a couple of those. They're actually really good.
I've completed that one already.
I've never actually seen it myself, so it's never like I didn't know the source material, so I didn't know whether to get into it or not. To be honest.
Yeah, they're actually really good. It's like it's sort of like it's done like the Walking Dead style art, which is actually really clever of them to do that because
cell
they can
shading.
Release them, they can release them very quickly because it doesn't take a lot to do it.
Yeah, once you got the basic of it down,
It's not only that, it's been observed that games with shell shading, they age better than high-tech graphics does. I mean, if you look at games that were at the height of their of graphic ingenuity at the time, you look at them now, you just think, oh god, that's heinous. You look at shell-shaded games from like 10 years ago,
Okami now looks just as good now as it did back then, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is another game that was famous for its cell shading because it's the art style that goes alongside it. Now there has been games that have used horrible cell shading, just for reference. I've seen games that have used it and it's been fucking horrendous and it looks awful now, let alone what it will look like in 10 years.
It will look awful forever.
Yeah, they just use it because it's a cheap cop out. But when you do cell shading as an art, and you do it well, within your sort of art style that you want to do, then it does, as you say, it ages fantastic because it will look right no matter which way you look at it, sort of thing.
See, I didn't think I'd like these games because of cell shading. Because I've played other like cell shaded games before, and they've been just horrifically bad. But then I played Borderlands 2, and I was like, okay, they've got cell shading in this. I didn't think I'd like it, but this actually works very well. Then I played, The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, and I was like, I love cell shading now.
Yeah. It's like two sides of a coin. You never get it. I find that if you get a game that uses it right, it's awesome. But if you get a game that uses it wrong, it's fucking horrendous, and it looks horrible. I've seen, like as I said there, I've seen some really bad games. There's one that Total Biscuit reviewed on his channel, which is like Call of the Wolf. Guys of the Wolf, and that is a perfect example. YouTube, that if you've never seen it, that is an example of horrific cell shading to an absolutely disgusting degree, and I've got no qualms about that game is horrendous.
Just slam it.
I've seen a lot of the review. I've seen a couple of Let's Plays. It is just the wrong way to make a game.
Yeah, and it's a perfect example, as what we're saying there, of cell shading done absolutely horrendously wrong. It's just really, really bad. But as you say there, when it's done right, it definitely works. There's no qualms about that and the art style, and they're definitely carrying that forward. I think they're going to be doing roughly the same style in the Game of Thrones one as well, which will be fine. You can still make it look.
I can't imagine them doing anything else, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I mean, you can still look. If Walking Dead is any sort of reference, you can still make cell shading, which is primarily a very comic-y sort of style of look, into dark and grisly. You can still do that, so that's fine. Which you need in Game of Thrones. Cause,
really did complement the graphic novel series as well, because it looks almost identical.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the main reason why they went with it, and all the once it works, it works, doesn't it? And you just carry on with it. Sort of thing. Okay. Is there anything else that anyone wants to talk about with I
just want to discuss all the choices people have made from all the episodes, because I have to know. So, did anyone lie to Herschel when you were on the farm?
I inadvertently did. I didn't mean to. I actually mean that. I thought I was telling the truth, and I realised that I clicked the wrong button, and then I was like, "Oh shit! I just lied to him." I was like, "Okay."
See, I have to be really careful with these games because I have really shit short-term memory retention. So I'll say something to one guy, and then say something to another guy. And go, "Oh shit! I didn't mean to tell him that. I told someone else something similar. Fuck! I'm gonna get in trouble for that."
Yeah.
Okay, so who did you save, Duck or Sean?
Oh, Duck.
Yeah.
I did do a first playthrough when I was going more with my guts, and first time round I saved Sean because he was stuck under a tractor. Duck was just having his hair pulled.
Yeah. Okay.
The second time round I did leap straight to Duck because I want Kenny on my side.
Yeah.
And I feel like because I actually knew at the time that Sean was going to die anyway. So
yeah, like it's a surefire way of making Kenny just hate you for the rest of the season. just making his kid die in one of the first decisions you make in the game. Sort of thing.
This is a dumb question. Who did you side with, Larry or Kenny, in terms of Doug should be thrown out?
There you go. You know what was coming. Obviously Kenny.
Yeah. But it's only because Larry just went about it in the worst possible way, didn't he? It's just like, we need to throw him out now. How do we know he's bitten? We know he's bitten. We're throwing him out now. We're cleaning off the mark and there's no bite marks. He's bit anyway. We're all going to die. And it's just like...
Check under his hairline.
He has the articulation of a drunk Scotsman.
You're just looking at Larry and you're just like, I'm not going to like him at all, am I?
Yeah. yeah. Even if his logic is good, but the way that he goes around it just makes you want to disagree with him. So...
Some people should just not be in charge, should they?
Yeah, exactly.
Irene, the girl who was bit in the motel, did you give her the gun or did you refuse?
I refused.
Really?
Yes.
Why's that?
She was crazy and you've given her a gun.
She wasn't that crazy. She was just one to kill herself.
Suicidal, not crazy.
Oh, yeah, but still, come on.
She's
emotionally charged.
You know what I would have done if that was an option? I would have just killed her.
Yeah, I would have shot her myself, but it wasn't an option. But no,
fair enough. It's just like you want to die. Fair enough. Blam. point blank to the face.
Yeah, that's what I would have done personally. But no, I was like, I'm not giving this absolutely crazy balmy woman who, she wants to kill herself, and that's fine. But she might just be like, oh, and you guys should not be in this world with me. I'll take you too. And suddenly she shoots all three of you and then kills herself. That's what I was thinking.
That just shows the level of trust that we have. Clearly, all right, fine. Yeah. I'll turn my back as well. I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
I just suddenly realised now that was the dumbest thing I could have done.
See, I'm thinking, man. I'm thinking of survival.
Chris, what did you do?
I gave her the gun. I was like, all right, fair enough. Well, just kill yourself and we'll come back in and get the gun.
We're just trusting, aren't we, Chris? Is there any point asking the next one? Who saved Carly? Doug.
Oh, Carly.
Carly.
Well, that's that one.
Yeah.
Any particular choice?
Doug, you're very nice. You know, Carly has boobs, so boobs win.
Yeah.
Who wins?
Well, actually, my thought was that she had the gun, so if I save her, she could. I think, like you said there, Tom, that you had the roughly same thing. Like, I save her, and then she can shoot whoever's attacking Doug, but it just didn't turn out that way. I was like, oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
To be fair, I also thought she was more capable than Doug was.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that, yeah.
Like, what's Doug gonna be able to do? Fix a remote control or something?
Yeah, exactly. And, exactly. Well, he could fix the hell out of that remote control, though, so don't sell him short.
Okay, I'll just turn on a TV then, that's fine.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so...
Should we go through the rest of them, or just leave now?
No, I think if we went through all of them, we may be here for many, many long.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
We may do that in the future, though. If people
we might as well
that.
There's no point spoiling it all. Let people play the game.
There's huge spoilers here anyway.
Fair big bits of it.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question? Because this isn't a spoiler, because this is as soon as you get in the... This is the first scene. You're in the back of a police car for murdering 2 people. For a game that's so story-based and has such an enforcement on morality and on killing, to be quite frank, the idea that your main character is actually a murderer, did that ever occur to anyone to actually bother them?
Well, with me, because I didn't know enough about it, it wasn't like it disconnected me from Lee as the character because I was trying to figure out what happened more than I need to hide this sort of thing. So it's only when you find out really all the details of why he did it, which is you do learn in the first episode, so that's fine. But I think that actual general part of him being a murderer before it all began, it actually gets resolved very quickly. I think, especially in season 1. Than you would think. You think, when you first hear about it, you think this is going to build up, and when it gets to episode 5, this is going to be a huge turning point on one of the characters, whether he's going to be on our side or not. But it actually gets resolved very in the mid of episode 3. So it gets resolved much quicker than I thought. Anyway, that's my.
You get some explanation anyway.
Yeah. From there.
Subplot then.
Yeah.
It's just a little point. It can bite you in the arse if you try and hide it, or you can tell everyone and just be like, "Look, this is what happened," and everyone's just like, "You know what? I ain't even mad."
Yeah, everyone's so strangely okay with it. They're like, okay, that's fine.
Straight up, stop. I don't want to know anymore.
Yeah.
It's interesting how as the person playing that character, how you sit with that knowledge.
Yeah, in terms of how you carry that forward as well, in terms of trusting other people and if they should trust you. Does bring on the whole age-old thing, though, considering his story, is that, they normally say bitches be tripping, it's bastards be tripping, because Lee tripped, man. He went mad.
He trips a lot, man.
Tripped a lot.
A bit tripping.
Yeah, so... Interesting stuff. Are we done with Walking Dead, or shall we?
I'm happy to leave it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or I actually think that when season 2 ends and we've done it all, I think we could actually make an entire episode of this podcast just on that and just talk about all the different things that happened.
This was just a mess. I'll be honest.
It's a good mess. It's a good
on our part, wasn't it?
It'd be entertaining stuff. And like I said, season 2, I don't want people to think I don't like season 2. I actually love it. It's just that it's good for different reasons than season 1 is. So, it's turning out to be really, really good. So, very, very much KITN approved. Shall we say?
Strongly recommend it. Go out and sorry for the spoilers.
And double paw review, shall we say? Maybe in terms of Kittens. Let's move on anyway. Our last game of the week. Is from Haley, who covered Tropico, covering a much different sort of game this week, as I think all of us are really. I'm going to butcher this name. I tried to get the official Japanese way of saying it, and I think it was Suikoden. I don't know, Suikoden.
I say Suikoden because that's just, I don't know, I've always said it like that. And I've played it since it came out.
Well, you know what? To the kittens, you're perfectly correct, and we'll trust you over anyone else. So Suikoden, whatever it is, number 2.
Suikoden.
Japanese name game.
Suikoden.
Suikoden.
Yeah. Take it away. What is the game?
Suikoden is commonly referred to as a JRPG, Japanese role-playing game. And, that straight away turned Tom off to it. Oh, I don't do JRPGs. No. I don't do JRPGs.
No.
The grind.
I mean, it's been made by Big Game as well, Konami, published and developed by Konami. Is that right? Konami or Konami?
I think it's Konami. I don't know.
A lot of it's been referred to as Konami. So yeah.
But you know who we're talking about.
Yeah, that big company in Japan.
Yeah.
And all that.
But yeah, it's. You might be wondering why I'm going for number 2 and not number 1 because number 2 is better, and many people will say that. And it's a game where, of course, it's a game, but it's. I'm just thinking where to start because I think I should start by saying it's not just a JRPG; it's a strategic JRPG.
Oh, okay. So it's not like Final Fantasy turn-based sort of thing. Is it got a little bit different combat to it?
It is turn-based. I always see it as Final Fantasy's rival.
Okay.
And if they had gone better, it would have turned out.
If Konami didn't go batshit on the bananas, then it could have really rivaled them.
Well, number 2, Number 2 is better than all the Final Fantasy games, and don't say that lightly.
Yeah, I know you're a fan of the Final Fantasy games as well. So like when you say that, it's not just Final Fantasy is shit. You're saying that because you're a fan of both, aren't you? Like
yes, yeah. But I would rather Suikoden any day. They have a different art style, but what they do with the graphics themselves is amazing. They're very small. It's 2D and
pixel sprites kind of thing.
Yeah, pixel sprites, but when they do different animations, different motions on the characters, it changes it and it's a different level. It was released in Japan at first in 1999, then in Northern America in 1990. Wait, did I say 99? Yeah, 98 in Japan, 99 in America, and 2000 in this side of the world.
Yeah, in Europe.
In EU, sorry. You're all in the EU, everyone.
Everyone, yeah.
Everyone else is Europe.
Everyone else is Europe. And it's, like I say, it is a strategic game as well. So when you're playing big war battles, I mean, like armies versus armies, it turns into a strategitic game.
It's still turn-based, but
it is turn-based, but it's strategic.
Is it on a much larger scale then? Is it like you're instead of like 3 on against 3, it's like 20 against 20 sort of thing? Is it? Or
not quite.
It'll be units of about 1,000.
Oh wow!
On 1,000.
Wow!
So it's scaled down, but those are the numbers that you're presented with, and you have different attacks and battle points.
There's a lot more freedom in the tactical battles than there is in your standard battle, which is 6 people just throwing attacks at your enemy. This one, you've got to be very meticulous about where you send which unit you send forward, which ones you keep in reserve, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and who can stand up to who.
Yeah.
And that is something that you don't actually get because that's a completely different genre, people would say, compared to an RPG. So to combine the two together is a brave step, but and only ran for so long apparently.
Yeah, I mean,
ran out of steam after a while.
One of the things I like about just the very idea of that is that like it's going to break up the monotony which JRPGs have a lot of, where you're in a battle, you grind. You're in a battle, you grind. You're in a battle, you grind. But this is a different way to still be competitive and still be going against like the computer, but like it not to be exactly the same of what you're doing. Like I could never get into Dragon Quest games that much because the grind in it is really, really harsh. To be able to get anywhere, like you might go to a brand new area and fantastic, you have lots of fun doing the stuff, but then you're gonna have to grind for a lot of hours to get into like the right amount of power to move on. And like man, I would have killed for something a little bit different just to change up that monotony of it. So
you don't grind in this at all. You really don't.
Not as much as you would as anything else. I mean, wonderful thing. I mean, how many characters do you get in this game?
Well, that's the thing. You have a party of 6, and you can choose to change those characters between 108 different playable characters.
Whoa! Wow!
Yeah.
And each one have their own fighting style, their own animation, their own stories, their own motivations.
But like when you say there's that many, right? Can they actually like live up to like, for instance, like with a Final Fantasy, because you've got like a party of like probably at most about 8 people. Can it live up to giving you the same background as them, or is it?
Sometimes, because sometimes the Final Fantasy background story is a little weak.
I can't tell you the first thing about Lightning.
Yeah.
Other than her name, and she has a sister.
Or just saying like Lulu in Final Fantasy X, her background story is a little bit weak.
But one other thing that you can do, this game has got a lot of extras you don't need to engage in, but you can take in. I mean, on the second one, you can recruit a private detective to look into the stories and of other characters.
So you can recruit them.
Oh, cool.
To recruit them, to know what they are, to know what they're about, and everything like that. You
recruit. And when you explore the world, the story itself, the basic story itself, is very simplistic. Well, not the story. I'd say the world is simplistic. It's in the same world as all the Suikoden games are, but different continents, different countries. So you get some familiar faces, but most of it is all new characters. And this is something that is difficult for a lot of people for a lot of games to run. But you play as a silent protagonist.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so that doesn't have any dialogue whatsoever?
He gives out commands that you choose, like deploy the troops and stuff like that.
But that's like that's little gimmicky things, isn't it?
Yeah, and you have a few dialogue options, but very little.
Oh.
He is meant to be a silent protagonist, and I think that is so that you can kind of implant yourself, graft yourself onto him with his history and his family connections. Which is always the idea with a silent protagonist, so that you become that person.
Yeah. They don't do a silent protagonist just for the sake of it's going to save on resources. I know some people may think, we should probably do that and it'll be fine, but a lot of the conscious decision and done that is so you can implant yourself onto them, and it makes it far more personal. So that's
the theory, and it genuinely works here. Yeah. This is a highly emotional, story-driven game. The rampage, you don't even feel yourself getting invested. You almost don't have time to, because you are thrown straight into the deep end straight away. You're straight into the action. Not like you're literally in a battle, but you wake up in a tent. You're about to go home with your best friend, and you wake up in the middle of the night with an invasion. An invasion. Not an invasion. Sorry. And so your brigade is ambushed by the enemy, as far as you think they're the enemy, and you try to escape. One way, you go through the woods, and you see your bleeding comrades dead and bleeding, of course. And then you decide to try and go up the cliff. So you go back to the camp and find that you've been betrayed by someone. I'm not going to, by I don't think anyone's going to really be able to play this, unfortunately, and I'll explain in a bit.
Damn you, low gain! That's all I can think of being betrayed.
You're betrayed by a captain, and then you escape up a cliff, and then you jump off. You have to jump off the cliff with your friend, which you mark the wall to say you'll come back there. You'll meet up there again if you get separated, and then it goes into the intro sequence, which kind of depicts. Without words, your childhood with your best friend and your sister.
Harsh. Harsh way to start it off, isn't it?
Yeah,
people die.
Throws you in there, so you automatically feel for these people, not like you're expected to, but it makes you, through these images, through these strong emotional depictions, it just makes you feel for them already, and you don't even realise it. It's like you're tricked into it.
Well, this is like it seeps into you, which is a good way. Like sometimes, like I like games that like you don't realize that you're getting really into it until you're actually really into it, and you're like, okay, I need to play more and more and more and stuff. So,
yeah,
is it one of those games that seeps into you, gets its claws in, sort of like poison, but in a good way?
It does, and it's got light bits of humour in it as well. It keeps it light, but it keeps it serious, and really, it just feels, because you're playing as a young person. You're not an adult. You're a young I don't even know what the age of the character is. It's never said, but you're called a child, but you're old enough to join the army, so you must be around teens.
Yeah.
That's general in like Japanese kind of roleplay games. We see them in Final Fantasy. It's like they're like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're perfectly able to go battle some massive demon that's going to kill everyone.
And they're carrying big, massive swords that there's no way that them at that age would ever be able to hold.
Anyone.
Yeah, anyone
like
at any age.
Cloud, like Cloud's sword is like the epitome of impracticability.
Yeah.
We call it the compensator.
Covering for something a little bit small, are we, Cloud?
Yeah, his age.
No wonder he never sealed the deal with Tifa. Yeah, there we go. We solved it.
Yeah.
But anyway, as you were saying before we shamelessly turned this into a conversation about big swords and small penises, yeah?
Well, there's actually nothing like that in this game where you have unrealistic weapons.
Yeah. Oh, that's good then.
So, but there is also a sense of magic, and the story itself revolves primarily in this world, but also with these 27 true runes. And the true runes are what created everything according to their history. And the two best friends are each given one of these two runes, which is a mirror image of a past event which you find out about your character's grandfather, adopted grandfather, and about it. It's kind of a metaphor for symbolizes the battle between these two nations, which is what your mission is. You've got to beat this other nation, which was your home country, of course, but you've got to now unite these I don't know how many cities, probably about nine cities that you've got to unite to then beat back the invading army.
And you end up like controlling basically the bulk of the force that goes against this overwhelming force.
You become the figurehead for the army.
After a little while.
After a little while, of course, yeah. You have a strategist who doesn't always do nice things because he's a strategist.
Yeah.
And that means that he's going to do what's necessary to win. But he does place you as the figurehead of the army and you get your own castle as well, which is lovely. And there's lots of little mini games in this game as well, which makes it really charming. One, which is Tom's favourite, is the cooking challenge.
The cooking challenge.
Yeah, cooking. So you have to beat. Yeah. Tom, go ahead. It's a Spanish game.
It's wonderful because you get your castle, and suddenly out of nowhere, you're patrolling around it. You step onto this one ledge that has been disused. You see the chef arguing with someone, and it's just like, you're the lord of this castle. Let me join you. Like, okay, fine. And then he starts off, and he's got his own little story. He's stolen the moonbird recipe or something like that. And chefs come from all around to challenge him, and you've got to have essentially ready, steady cook in your own castle. So
with Sir Ainsley Harriott, no less.
The characters you recruit, some of them join the board, and you've got to know what they want. It tells you what they want. Say, this person here likes sweet things. This person here has got a very spicy palate. This one here, he just likes cake.
And the dog man likes meat.
That sort of thing. But you can actually go around collecting recipes from the world, but you've got to use your intuition to essentially pick the best recipes to get you the biggest score. And if you
win X Factor.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. Because if you fail it, you don't get a restart. You just lost it. That's it. That's the end of his arc.
Oh, really? Okay, so unless you don't take it seriously, then you lose out on that part of the story, sort of thing.
Exactly.
And some people die, possibly.
It's. Sorry, no, I'm.
Well, you get
hijacked, so I'm going to
you cook it wrong or something.
Did you?
Not good enough. You'll die.
Did you attain the rank of Iron Chef, or maybe beating Sir Gordon Ramsay? Maybe on those ones.
Oh, I got very close. I was literally the last level, but
you lost on the last ledge, didn't you?
No, I never got back to it.
I
left it for so long, and I thought, oh God, where am I? What am I doing? No, restart the whole thing.
Tom, would you say that you brought dishonor?
I brought dishonor to the chefs of Iron.
Yeah, this reminds me of the Futurama episode. It seems like every episode now I'm making Futurama references. The Iron Cookaroo, but anyway. Heading back to the actual game.
Back to the action. Well, this is a really nice lead on from Walking Dead, actually, because this has morality choices in it as well. So this is a PS1 game, by the way. So to have these moral choices, which actually do affect and kill people potentially, it's quite an amazing thing and a terrible thing. Because I once chose to run away from the zombie necklord with my sister, and it meant that some lovely people died, and I got slapped in the face really hard.
Oh wow!
So you permanently lose these people for good, and you lose them from your army, from your playable characters. They are no longer there to give any dialogue at your meetings, and I was a child when I played this, so I was scared, shocked that I actually lose someone permanently in a game.
Just like too much for like someone to handle. I guess as you're saying, like you don't know the age of like the person that you're playing, so it kind of puts you in that same situation of just like way too much for just a little kid to handle, sort of thing along these lines.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I played the first Suikoden, there was a line in it that I'll never forget. I was scared because up till then, I'd always thought that when you fight something in a game, it's fainted, like in Pokemon, you know, because I was a little girl. So when they said, please, no more killing in front of the children, I was like, I'm killing these people?
What? So do you realise the blood on your hands?
Yeah, exactly.
The pixelated blood. It will not wash away.
But yeah, you just get so invested in the game, and it's got so many different extras and just everything. It's just so big as well. The world itself is so big, and so many different cities to see. There's the fighting style. It is turn-based combat, and everyone who says turn-based combat is horrible, they can go away because it's lovely in this game.
I think turn-based combat works well in gaze. So I'm getting tired. I think turn-based combat works only in specific games. In games like Final Fantasy and most likely this game, it works well. But then I think it doesn't work in every game. Like a game like that's kind of diverging off topic. Like if you look at Final Fantasy X, it worked perfectly well in Final Fantasy X. But when they changed it in 10.2, I hated it.
Yeah.
So I think when people say, "Oh, turn-based is really shit," I'm like, it's not.
They're painted.
It has to work, and it's generally the Japanese games that it works well in.
Yeah, like the thing is, with like you can have a really good system, but like if you have a game that's reliant so heavily on battles, it doesn't matter how good sometimes the system can be, it can be overused, which is why I said they're in the Dragon Quest series. But like in a lot of the Final Fantasy games, I never thought that way. I was like, this combat system is still really satisfying. When you get to the end, it just needs to be paced well. Is it paced well in this game? Like, is it like in the battle system? Does it stay fresh? Does it like give you new things to like deal with as you go along? Or
well, the battle itself, you have 6 characters. You can choose a party of 6.
Yeah.
So I think you for going on turn-based combat just for a sec, because I don't think you could actually not do a party of 6 without turn-based combat.
Yeah, that would be way too hectic. Yeah, I agree.
You can do that, but with the battle, because you have 108 characters you can choose from, it does keep the experience fresh, especially in combat. Sometimes you are forced to change because sometimes people will get their favorite characters, and I know I do this, and then you don't change deviate from that party, because when you gain experience points, they're only given to the present characters.
Yeah.
Is the battle system like Final Fantasy X where you swap them in and out, or is it like you choose before you go anywhere?
That's your party. The rest of them are still left at the castle. They're nowhere to be. No mobile phones in this world.
So is it you fight with the 6?
Yeah, that's right.
The 6 on the screen in the battle?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And the enemy can be up to 6 as well. And also, it's not too slow because characters will fight if you do, like, say, auto battle. So they can you're just telling them, I'll just go and fight them, just go and attack them. I don't want to do anything special. It's one selection, so you don't have to go through the whole 6 screens, they'll attack 2 at the same time. So it won't be one at a time. It'll be 2 people at a time. And sometimes certain characters will be able to make combos. So the main character and his sister can do a combination, so they fight together, which is a bit of an extra special attack.
Okay.
Yeah, which I know some of the games that run off the similar system around about the time, because I'm a big fan of JRPGs, not just the Final Fantasies as well. So I know roughly where you're coming from. But like you can link attacks that do like more damage, but it might like take it reduces their speed or something along those lines. There is a drawback that if you don't insta kill all the enemies, then you might actually screw yourself, sort of thing, or it drains a lot of your magic power and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, sanity as well.
Yeah.
Or unbalances you in this one.
What do you mean? What do you, along those lines?
So, when I say unbalanced, it means that kind of like after the hyper beam in Pokemon, you need a turn to recover.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, that's.
Go back to Pokemon. We understand.
Yeah. A much more simpler game in a simpler time, shall we say, on the Game Boy.
Yeah, but this is Suikoden 2. This is what now, 14 years later, and I will still pick it up and play it because it plays on the PS3 because it's a PS1 game.
Yeah.
And they're made of the same format. IGN have voted it placed it at number 44 in their top 100 RPGs of all time.
Ooh.
There was a list that was done by Pro Jared recently, and he was doing a list of top JRPGs not made by Square Enix, and this was the top one. So, just a little bit of interest. That's ironically where I first heard of it, and that wasn't that very long ago. So it was quite. When you said that you were covering the game this week, I was like, "Oh, cool! I'll be able to learn more about it because it looked really, really good." So,
it is amazing, and it is so valuable. And there was only a limited printing of it.
Yeah, I imagine it's quite hard to get hold of nowadays. Is it?
It is very, very rare now. You can play it one of 3 ways. You can pay a minimum on I've been looking up on eBay. There's the lowest buy it now price in the UK is £110.
Ooh, okay.
For one game, I will say.
Wow.
This is PS1. If you did get it, if you decided to play that, you could then get it and play it on your PS3 or PS2. Or you could. I do not say that this is a great thing to do. You could always get an emulator online and do the whole ISO business, and not that I've done that for the first game, but
and we're not recommending that.
Yeah, we're not endorsing that in any way.
Kids,
no.
Don't do piracy.
Bad.
They're recently it's been announced that they're going to they're planning on releasing it on the PSN, but you'd have to move to America.
No, they're not. Oh, come on, they're not regionalizing it. That's really sucks.
No, so it is annoying. So you would, move country or be illegal or spend lots of money. I recommend
or find someone that has it.
Pardon?
Or find someone that has it.
Yeah, you can always come and be my best friend.
Yeah, I just had this image. Literally a week later, Morgan's going to knock on the door and just say, "Hi."
How about seeing you here? I was just in the neighbourhoods,
I was going to say, Morgan. Actually, when you were talking earlier, I was thinking, oh my god, this game would be so amazing for you. And now I've told you you can't have it.
That is incredible. Oh, harsh.
I don't play console anyway.
Yeah.
You could play over and over and over and over and over and over.
But then, no, saying that, like, if I was to play console, because I rarely play console, I rarely ever do, it's games like it's the JRPGs games that I play. Final Fantasy X, loved it. Final Fantasy VIII, loved it. It's those games that non-linear, but linear.
Yeah.
Expansive world. I love them. So it's probably the one game I would steal my cousin's PlayStation for and watch it.
You could plot using your intrigue on Crusader Kings, Morgan, and steal his,
Yeah. Plot to kill Hayley and take it.
Yeah.
You can have it on my cold dead body, Morgan. If she dies, I get next dibs.
I'll just kill you.
PS1 games that I've actually held on to for years, and I'm going to write in my will to leave to my children. Really rare.
Kill your children. It's perfect. We'll just do that. I'll just kill everyone.
Basically, just find the nearest Suikoden owner and just... Actually, that's the point. On eBay, we saw all How many?
5. There's 5 of them actually all made. 3, 4, and 5 were made on the PS2.
Yeah.
But the collection of all 5 of them is going for £1,000.
Wow, that is,
please.
that is madness. Yeah.
It is that good.
It's a shame though that you say that. Like, with a game that good, I mean, I didn't hear of it until like like I said a while back, and I was huge into these games. I didn't hear of it being released or anything along those lines. It's really sad when these games that are this good, but they don't get as much like prevalence or marketing or like they wouldn't be put on the front of stores and stuff like that. They're hidden away, and then later on they become classics, and they become almost impossible to actually get your own copy of.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a shame that it ends up turning out that way, but I guess
It isn't possible to get this out of the second-hand market.
Yeah.
Nearly impossible. It's just expensive.
I say, where are you going to get it that's sold directly from a store?
Yeah.
It's not pre-owned.
Yeah.
You can't, no.
Exactly. You can't get it outside the second-hand market.
It reminds me of a game.
It's a shame because Konami would make a bomb.
Yeah, they would. But like one of the things that that reminds me of, just as generic of having really rare games, is that I actually had as a kid a actual cartridge of Shining Force 2 for the Sega Genesis. Now you guys might not know this much about the game, but I love that game and I might cover it one day. But the actual cartridge itself maybe doesn't go for that much. But like every now and then I check it and the price just keeps going up and up and up and up of the original cartridge for it, and I'm like, why did they ever get rid of that? Why did I ever get rid of it? It's just one of those games I just kick myself every day of just getting rid of it. But
because when you have it, you're like, no, I only paid this much for it.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll trade it in for a game, and then suddenly I realise that it's not even then. It's not even for the money that I want it back. It's just for the memories of it because I love that game. But still. So if you could, so what you're essentially saying is that you highly recommend it. You give it the KITN stamp of approval, but you can't play it.
Yeah. Don't play there.
Well, don't be a pirate. Don't be a pirate.
I mean, that's fine. This one's going to get emulated all to shit.
Yeah, like
I'm not suggesting you should do it.
But we're not going to hide away from the fact that it is going to happen. Like, you are going to get people that are going to do it because it is so hard to get hold of. I don't endorse it, but we can see it, people doing it. We're not stupid, so like along those lines.
This is the
Don't do it, but we won't blame you.
You wouldn't steal a person's handbag, so why would you steal? Sorry.
Yeah, one of those adverts. Morgan. I always find that it's really funny, those adverts about, you wouldn't steal someone's handbag, you wouldn't steal someone's TV, and there's some guy there. So actually, I would steal your TV. So
Yeah. No. You wouldn't steal a TV. Well, I wouldn't steal that TV. No.
You wouldn't steal someone's Wi-Fi. You're like, I would.
The thing about this game as well is that there are only about 4 copies on eBay currently being sold.
Crazy.
So
super
your
rare.
only option may be to emulate it. Not that you should, but it's a shame that is becoming the only solution.
Yeah, for anyone that's like dying to play this game, and they push people into doing that because when it's that hard to actually get a copy, and yet for people to like be like, it's only a few clicks away from me just to emulate the damn thing, they're gonna do that, and that's why people do it, and there's such a market around, such a following around emulation stuff, because they don't exactly help themselves, especially as you said, it's being re-released on PS3 on the PlayStation Network, but only in North America, which is like sucks for anyone.
But then
in
you
Europe
say that most likely it will be released to America, and if there's a good market for it, most likely will be spread across.
The first one was released in America a long time ago, but they've only just got round to number 2, but they never released it anywhere else other than North America.
To be fair, it's because Konami are focusing too much on the new games that are coming out.
Yeah, they are. They if they had any desire to make this back into prevalence, they would have done that. So, it's a bit of a shame, really. But move to America or buy a very rare copy up on eBay.
Or kill Haley.
Stop it!
You have gold dust in your hand there, Haley, and you convinced us such a good game it is, and you're teasing us. You're teasing us.
Written your own death warrant there.
We hope you cough fur balls up as other kittens. That's what you said. No, of course not. So is there anything else you want to talk about, Suikoden? Or
I just have to mention, Chris, what you were saying about games that lead on to other games.
Yeah.
Suikoden 1, if you have a saved file of Suikoden 1 and you load that onto Suikoden 2, it does have an influence. A little one, not a major one, but...
Yeah. All right, so you get like a little extra thing.
An extra character.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, cool.
Is it 2 characters?
It depends how well if you complete it fully, then you get a glimpse of the second character.
An extra character who died in the first one.
Yeah.
Don't bring that up again.
Did you make a boo-boo?
No.
Maybe. But actually, that reminds me of, I can't remember who said it earlier about your hand being held in games.
Me.
Yeah, sorry, Chris.
Again, it doesn't do that.
I heard you, I just didn't listen properly. But, yeah, to the point where it almost becomes a non-rail shooter, right?
Yeah.
But this one doesn't hold your hand at all. But, I mean, in the first one, Tom was playing it earlier, and I had to kind of tell Tom where something was because nobody actually said where it was or what to do.
Yeah.
And you really just got to try every option. You got to go through the process of deduction to actually get to the next.
If you skip through the dialogue, it will bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
I hate people who do that. That like
sometimes I've actually clicked past the message and I'm just like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I hate people when they do that, like in games where like they'll be like doing so. I don't know where to go, and it's like if you actually reload a save and you show them, well, actually they told you here. Look at this big blue text on the bottom of the thing telling you exactly where to go. Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, someone's sitting there kind of getting really angry. They can't do it. You look at the screen for 5 seconds and go, "You've got to go that way."
Yeah.
And then it's like, "Oh, how did you look at that?" I thought about it.
Like I will slam games that don't like. Why you said like I can see it on the other foot. Sometimes games don't give you anything, and it's like, okay, I don't know where to go, and it's getting very, very frustrating. Like the game's not helping me get to where I need to go, even though it's open world or anything along those lines. There are games like that where it's just completely the other side of extreme. But like when people are moaning at the game, I don't know what to do, but it does tell you what to do. That really irks me about people in games. It's just
people have their hands slapped away from keyboards and controllers until they actually figure out what's what.
Yeah,
they just turn around and go, "Fucking give me that, I'll do it."
You do not deserve this. I'm taking your game out of your house, which I imagine what Morgan's going to do to your Suikoden 2 disc. So
he's literally going to creep into the house, and I'm just going to be literally perched on the ceiling, knives in each hand, and just like, wait, one more stab.
That's all it looks you up and blows you away with a shotgun.
Not today, motherfucker.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, should we wrap this up here?
Yeah,
it seems like a good stopping point. Yeah.
We have covered a lot of good games here this week, and I hope you guys did enjoy the podcast. Just to wrap over the games that we covered here, we covered Crusader Kings 2, Shadow of the Colossus, The Walking Dead Season 1, and Suikoden 2. I'm not going to just torture myself over the pronunciation of that name. I'll just do it, that's fine. So yeah, we hope that you guys did enjoy this week and the coverage of those games. We'll be back again next week. If you did enjoy the episode, please leave a like, and you can subscribe to this channel to catch it every single Tuesday. And we'll have new gaming podcast goodness up for you to listen to. And who knows, we might have another kitten making a new debut. We don't know. Whenever we might have a new kitten that jumps along the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe one of these days I'll have enough time that I can cover a game myself, which will be odd. It'll be strange outside of my hosting capabilities. But yeah, we had, just to go over who we had here this week. We had Tom, we had Haley, we had Morgan and Chris. And if you want to follow Chris's channel, because he does YouTube as well, you can click his icon on the screen, and it will take you straight to his channel, and you can subscribe there. But yeah, and you're doing a Portal 2 playthrough at the moment, aren't you, Chris?
I am. Yeah, I am in fact nearly finished on that one. I'm pretty sure I'm either going to be doing the last episode or the last 2 episodes fairly soon. From there, I will be doing. I'll be finishing up my Outlast run, and then I'll be doing Outlast Whistleblower, and then I'll be doing Amnesia, a Machine for Pigs, because I want to get onto a Machine for Pigs because it looks good.
Yeah,
a Machine for Pigs.
Yes. And I uploaded up on my channel me and Tom being Enrico Iglesias in Nazi territory, so
I can be your hero, baby.
I'd say I'll watch that.
Yeah, quite interesting stuff. So yeah, you can enjoy that on those 2 channels. You can catch us again next week. We'll cover more games. But for now, guys, I think we're out of here. We'll let you go on your way. Thanks a lot for catching the podcast, and we will catch you again next week.
Bye very much, guys.
Bye-bye.
Very much, guys.